Bolt, strap on the seatbelt.
Oh, he's already on. We're already there. Look at that. We're live. You're strapping on the seatbelt live in front of everyone, Jason.
The captain did not turn on the smoking light.
I did not.
Damn.
I know. So look at that. We're live. We're here. I have Jason McDonald.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Sir Roll for Combat. Mr. Roll for Combat. Probably who has the second highest tenure after me. For role for content and behavior.
It could be. I mean,
but you rarely come on these.
Yeah, well, part of the problem is you do them when I'm at work. I mean, it's like 2:00 on a weekday. I'm at like my job, so
well, kind of busy. Jason, I figured is the best person to bring on board for this discussion. So back in the day, believe it or not. I know this sounds amazing and insane, and no one's going to believe me, but Jason can back me up, that Jason and I were actually professional movie reviewers for a newspaper, and we used to go to movies and actually write reviews on movies, so we have a fair amount of experience, and we did this for years, of what it's like to be a movie reviewer and what the studios do to cater those reviews. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I could talk about it, but I think it'll have...
or sometimes threaten you if you write a bad review.
That too. We sometimes got those too. But I thought we can use a little bit of our experience to talk about this, because last night I was sitting around and suddenly I saw an article from Polygon, and it had the review for the Dungeons and Dragons movie. And I was like, oh, no. And I'll tell you why it's oh, no. So here's the thing. The general rule of thumb is the earlier the review, the better the movie. And they do that because if they know it's a good movie, they're going to get the reviews out early. Like, the best example I can think of is like, not that it was the greatest movie, but it definitely did well. Avatar, Top Gun, Maverick, Mad Max. The reviews were like 2-3 weeks before it came out. So the D&D movie doesn't come up for 3 more weeks. And they had to lead off South by Southwest. And that it's like a convention down south. And last year they had Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that's it. Lead off, and they always have like a good movie. Usually try to lead off the convention, and they had the D&D movie lead out. And I'm looking at the reviews, and the reviews on Metacritic are in the 80s. I mean, in the 80s. I was like, oh my god, that's not a good movie. That's not even a great movie. That is like an absolute fantastic movie. And on top of that, you have jaded people reviewing this movie, and people who are professional movie reviewers and necessarily, geeks and gamers, and they loved it. And I'm just like so conflicted, because if this movie, considering everything Watsy's been doing, if this movie was bad, it would be easy to dismiss. If this movie was okay, it would be easy to dismiss.
Yeah, I feel like something like the Disney Marvel machine or Star Wars has enough, critical mass built behind it that, people are going to give it good reviews before it opens, regardless, just because it's Disney and they want to stay in good with the mothership. But a property like D&D that's a little bit more off the beaten path, I feel like it's more surprising that these are good advanced reviews, because it's kind of something that the general public's going to kind of give a bit of a side eye to going in, and yet it's still getting pretty good reviews. So okay,
they're not even good reviews. I mean, I read them; they're fantastic reviews. So
yeah, I haven't read a lot of the reviews yet. I skimmed a few, but I mean, it does seem like the people who like it really like it. I mean,
yeah. And so they pre-released it 3 weeks early. On top of that, you can see it next week. If you belong to Amazon Prime, they are releasing it, and you can get tickets. I'll put out the link. You can buy tickets to see it next Sunday at 2 p.m. And I have a feeling I'm going to be doing that because I want to see it ahead of time. There's the link, everyone. And and by the way, I use Metacritic. I don't use Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic is much more granular, and I have a kind of a sixth sense of these things, and man, I think this movie's gonna be really good. And God, I am so freaking torn. So let me just back up for a second. This movie was delayed 2 weeks. I don't know if you remember that. And there's a lot of reasons to delay a movie. Sometimes they just need more time for the special effects. Sometimes they don't want to release it at the same time as another movie.
Sometimes they don't want to get in the shitstorm about the gaming license. Wait, what?
Oh, yeah, well, that too. But the other reason is they want to give it a long runway to get the buzz out and get some people talking about it if the movie's really good. And I have a feeling that's the reason they delayed it 2 weeks, because they had to come out at South by Southwest. Now they're having a pre-release for Amazon Prime. So suddenly you're going to hear early reviews are really good. Now people are going to see it next week on March 19th. And then people are going to talk about it and they're going to say it's really good. And then, oh my God, it's like everyone's going to hear about it. Everyone's going to go see it. I think this thing's going to make $1 billion worldwide. I think this thing's going to be a huge success.
Well, I mean, we'll see, I guess. I mean, it's still hard to imagine given the history of D&D on film. I mean, because, obviously there's that Jeremy Irons movie that gets routinely brought up as one of the worst ever. And to think they might have actually figured it out, it's kind of an exciting prospect, but you still got one foot in the nervousness. I mean, I don't know.
Well, again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask them. Do subscribe and like as well, please. So the reason I wanted to go, I wanted to go live and talk about this is that, so why, some people are asking, why is there conflict? I'll tell you why there's conflict is because Hasbro in the beginning of the year, just 2 months ago, was doing their damnedest to kill Dungeons & Dragons third party and try to take over the entire industry and become a monopoly. And now they're doing an apology tour. And to be honest, they've been nothing but gaslighting people and acting in bad faith. And I still am very angry with how WotC is handling this and how they are basically treating their players
I don't
idiots.
know how I'm still trying to figure that one out myself, because it's the same parent company, it's the same mothership, and if you go see the movie, some of the money that's from your ticket's going to end up with these same people who spent 2 months pulling all sorts of weird shenanigans. On the other hand, this movie was being made for probably 1.5 2 years prior to all that, and most of the people working on the movie are entirely different people and had no hand in most of the people working on the movie have no freaking idea what an open gaming license is. So how much where's the balance on that? I have to admit, I'm still kind of figuring out, but I think I'm coming down on the fact that right now I'm not buying any D&D gaming products, but I could probably sleep at night going to see the movie particularly if it is in fact getting good reviews, and the few clips I've seen seem like they've captured the tone of it. So, if that makes me a sellout, I guess that makes me a sellout. And that's the other thing, and I see that as a comment, that to some degree, Wizards Hasbro probably already got paid when they sold the rights to the movie. I don't know how much money they're going to make on each individual ticket. I mean, so
they can make money because they own the production company.
Oh, they do? Okay, well that kind of changes things a little bit if it's their production company.
Yeah, June Solar said, didn't they already get paid with the license? It's a complex license because it's being, I think, produced and licensed with Paramount, who's also doing their television series. But it was done by what's it called? I forgot the name of their production company, but they own a production company, and they're trying to sell, by the way. They bought the production company for $4 billion in cash a couple years ago, and they do Yellow Jackets, believe it or not. That's like one of theirs. They did a couple of series that actually all of them are doing really well, but I don't know if you remember, the old CEO of Hasbro who set this all up died suddenly, And now they've kind of completely adjusted course. They're trying to sell their production company, and now they're bringing in people from Zynga, so that can tell you kind of where they're going. They're going towards a very different model. Let's leave it at that. And so, yeah, they're going to make money off this movie, and it's not even making money off this movie. It's building the brand, and I have a feeling, the problem is that they're just turning D&D into Marvel, or they're trying to. They're going to try to turn this into a Marvel product and make it just D&D is just a thing. It's not sitting around gaming with your friends. It's a fantasy brand in the same ilk as Lord of the Rings.
But if the open gaming license stuff hadn't happened, would that have been a horrible thing that they were trying to put D&D out there in other forms for people to enjoy? I mean, people dig Critical Role. People dig live play podcasts in a way they probably haven't 5 years ago. I mean, it's like, the open gaming license has kind of put a negative tint on all of this, but I'm not sure, turning it into movies is such a great crime against humanity. I mean, bring back the 80s cartoon series if you want. I mean,
by the way, I don't know if you saw the show the other day, we figured out that the 80s cartoon series was the first lit RPG probably ever in the United States, because it's literally people went to a fantasy world of gaming where they knew they were in a game, which is the definition of lit RPG. And so the D&D cartoon is lit RPG.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but
which I just realized. I was like, oh my God, lit RPG's been around since the 80s. So, Entertainment One is the name of their company. Someone else said it's soft money. It is soft money. Soft money is one corporation, Hasbro, giving it to Entertainment One, but the hard money is you going to see the movie and then they get a percentage of that. And because they own the production company and the license, they get a bigger slice of the pie. So in the end, Paramount probably is just doing the distribution, and they're going to get a much smaller slice. So a vast majority of the money will go to Hasbro. So, and they get the most amount of money in the first couple of weeks. So it's their best interest for everyone to see this movie as soon as it comes out. And they're doing a lot to make that possible, because I don't know what else is even coming out that's going to be competition for this thing.
And I don't think there's a lot queued up until getting close to Memorial Day, which is when the traditional summer season comes back. I mean,
this movie
off
might
the top of my head,
movie.
The extended stay of Cocaine Bear, perhaps. I don't know.
So you saw Cocaine Bear, didn't you?
I did see Cocaine Bear,
God.
Yes. And it was interesting. It was bad in a good way or good in a bad way, however you want to slice that sandwich. I don't know. I mean, but I don't want to go too far down the Cocaine Bear wormhole. But yes,
I don't know. I think you might have to do a double bill of Cocaine Bear and Dungeons and Dragons at the same time.
Well, I mean, there's that. Okay, I'm going to go deep on you a little bit if you don't mind. I have this theory of the good bad movie, where it's like a movie that's based on something that's a little bit frivolous, questionable, and Cocaine Bear absolutely falls into this. And I feel like D&D might be approaching the same thing, where it's like, okay, the conceit behind it is a little bit, a little mass market, a little bit, in Cocaine Bear's case, dumb. And you have like these three basic paths. You have people like the creative team, the cast, the director. On one hand, you can fail because everyone knows it's a big cash grab, and so they mail it in and they don't give a shit, and there's a cynicism under the whole thing, and that, cough cough Sharknado, and then you just get a crap movie. On the other hand, you got like people who feel a little embarrassed by the material, and they respond by we're serious actors and we're going to elevate it, we're going to make it something great, and it loses what's fun about the premise, and it fails because it just falls flat, and it doesn't remember that it's supposed to have some fun. And then there's that narrow sliver in the middle where everyone's engaged, everyone's trying hard, and they're committing to but they still recognize that it's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be kind of lighthearted, but they still commit to the bit even while they're trying hard. And that's where these types of movies succeed. And I think that's, from what I've seen of the D&D clips so far, I feel like they might have found that same path. They know that, like, they know that they're capturing the chaos of a D&D table a little bit, and they're cool with it, and they lean into it a little bit, and it seems like it's got that right tone. I mean, so yeah, I don't know.
I know. I hate to say, like, did you see the clip of where they raise someone from the dead?
The raised dead scene was kind of what sold me on going to see
it. I hate to say it. I saw that. I'm like, oh my God, that is so what you have happen at a gaming table. I was like, okay.
They know their audience, and they package those moments that, like, your audience, the core audience, will appreciate, but they still manage to package it in a workable, movie the general public will get.
That was so funny. I hate to say it. At the time, you know what? But it's not just like you're like, oh, it's funny. The writing, it's everything. The animation was good. The comedic timing was good. Chris Pine is really good. I mean, he's a good actor. I actually like the things. I mean, say what you want, he was superb in Star Trek. I mean, when he's good, he's really good. I mean, they have a good cast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so when the reviews I've been reading have been saying that it very much feels like you're watching Critical Role. They also say it starts off in the beginning with the bard talking right to the camera and letting you know, like, hey, they're kind of, and that's like the wink and the nudge, like they're breaking the fourth wall, and they say it's like, okay, hey, come on in, join us, like, see what we're doing, our adventure. And it feels like you're in the middle of a party who's been together for a while, and you're just seeing this crazy fun fantasy gaming session. And I'm like, oh man, they figured it out. I was like, oh my God, you might have figured it out.
Well, that's the thing. I think, I think the other trap is, like, you don't make a D&D movie. You just make a movie with swords and sorcery and wizards, and you don't have that. And some of that's probably like the unique IP, throw a beholder in there. But I think there's a deeper level of it, or of kind of understanding that the fun at a D&D table is not always a heroic adventure where everything goes as planned. It's a heroic adventure where things get screwed up and stupid and hilarious and you have to dig out of the holes that you make that the party makes for themselves. And I think they kind of got that. I think that's the fact that they're headed that way, so you're not just, vomiting forth Tolkien light or whatever. You're actually making something that feels like a gaming session. I mean, but at the same time, you do still got to appeal to that mass audience. So it's like, okay, well, we're not going to sit here and name check D&D spells all day. I mean, but
yeah, well, I mean, they're going to definitely.
I heard that they're going to, like, I think I saw one snippet of a review that showed them actually using components, like, which I don't think we use components in our games. Like, God damn, components.
I know.
Are they gonna stop for encumbrance at some point? Sorry, we got too much equipment.
They probably will. Stuff. They probably will.
I don't. I mean,
all right, I'm gonna start a poll, everyone.
A poll.
Are you gonna see the movie? It's a very simple poll, everyone. Yes or no? Yes or no? In the theater. Let's see how this goes. So everyone vote. Let's see. I want to get some interaction. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Super chats always get answered immediately. I will interrupt Jason. Say, stop talking. Let's get the super chats.
But what if I don't want to be interrupted?
Well, then don't agree to super chats. And of course, hey man, we got 17 likes and 150 people. Get the likes up, and we'll get Jason to do something silly. That's
wait, what? You didn't tell me that when I was. Well, then again, I have seen your shows before. I suppose I should have.
You should know. We always get the guests to do something silly if we get up to like 100 likes. 100 likes isn't even that big a deal. 100 likes is like nothing.
Been trapped.
He was trapped. Too bad.
I'm calling it entrapment.
Entrapment. Yeah. That's what we do here, and it works. I guarantee they're doing an encumbrance joke. But you know what? Okay, so let's get to the heart of the problem. Eric Mona said he wants the movie to do well. And he wants the movie to do well because he wants the genre to do well. And he wants role-playing in general to be accepted. And a rising tide floats all boats. So I totally understand his point of view that, like, look, if this movie does poorly, that looks bad on everything. That looks bad on D&D. That looks bad on Pathfinder. That looks bad on any game in this, you know.
Yeah, he didn't come out and say it, but he kind of hinted that if you don't get a D&D movie, you don't get a Pathfinder movie.
You won't get a Pathfinder
couple years
movie
down the road, or whatever other game system you're interested
100%
in.
true.
That at some point, even if it's a hold your nose and support it, if you want the genre to gain more visibility, credibility, get more money pumped into it, you know, to create more products, maybe you still got to support the movie. I mean,
yeah,
there's something to be said for that too. I mean,
and then we have people like Chris and Seth. They're our friends who play the games with us. They've been playing D&D since '77. Okay, they're the first people in line to see this movie. They couldn't care less about the OGL stuff. They just are happy to see a D&D movie and to see a good one. And I think they're going to be very excited and very happy to see this thing. You know, and there's going to be a lot of those people. There's going to be a lot of people who just want to see the movie just to have fun. And then
I'm about halfway between. I paid enough attention to the OGL stuff that I understand what Hasbro did and why it was shitty. On the other hand, I am also, you know, I am more casual. I'm kind of like, okay, just give me a good movie and I'll go see it type. I mean, so yeah. I'm kind of like got one foot in each camp, and maybe that just makes me indecisive or, you know, weak or whatever. But, you know, that's more where I am with it. Cause I mean, I think the OGL stuff was a complete shit show. I think Hasbro was trying to pull a fast one and got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. On the other hand, and I'm going to stop. I'm probably not going to be buying any D&D gaming products for a while. But, you know, this is one movie, and, you know, it might be a good movie, and it's 2 hours of my life. So whatever.
2 hours and 15 minutes of your life. It's actually a pretty long movie.
And it happens to be coming out when some friends are in town who might want to see it. So, I mean, you know.
I know. So,
like if Brady wants to go see it, am I going to say, "Oh no, we can't go see it because this game that you don't even play"?
I know.
you have to.
Actually, that will be a very good litmus test. So, Jason and I next on the 31st, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Steve's in town. I wasn't going to give out his location.
Well, it's Pittsburgh. No, it's a big city. No one fine. No one cares. I'll be in Pittsburgh with Jason. And we have our annual fantasy baseball draft that we've been doing for like 37 years now, 38.
Something like that.
Something like that. And a vast majority of these people, pretty much everyone except for me and Jason, have either played D&D or gamers, but aren't really gamers anymore. But definitely all movie buffs. And I'm very curious to see how many of them will want to see the movie. I guarantee Brady will want to see it. I bet Brady, you Shano I don't think he games,
but he's adjacent.
He'll see it.
He's adjacent to enough other things. He's like a big comic book fan.
Yeah, Shano will see it.
Yeah, so I think we've got some. I think we got some overlap there.
Yeah. I think about half of them. I bet you about half will see it.
JT maybe JT.
No, JT definitely will see it.
Sorry, I don't want to get into extred diatribe.
Well, my point is, it's like, well, it's more important that, like, these are people who are
roll call.
No, well, that's a deep cut. The point is, how many of your normal friends you think will go see this movie?
Who don't give a shit about the OGL?
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, and are you prepared to stay home while they go?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And you know what? Like when I was a kid, God, I mean, how many times did we watch Conan? But not even Conan. How many times did you see Hawk the Slayer? How many times did you see Beastmaster? I mean, seriously, I've probably seen Beastmaster 1,000 freaking times at this point.
I'm going off of what HBO pretty much had in their standard
Correct.
rotation in the mid '80s.
Right.
So a lot of Lady Hawk.
A lot of Lady Hawk, a lot of Beastmaster.
They held the rights to that one for a long time.
A lot of, I mean, Beastmaster was always Kodo and Podo. What are the name of the ferrets? Or
yeah, something like that. I have to admit, I've seen Beastmaster, but I don't remember it well.
Oh my God, I can remember every scene. Like
HBO seemed to love the Conan sequel more than the original.
The Conan
because it was PG-13, so they could show it during the day.
I know.
So you got a lot of the Conan sequel.
I know.
So
yeah, there's so many of these, and like just to see a movie of this ilk would be so nice. And now you have Harry Potter, you have Lord of the Rings, you have Game of Thrones, you have, I mean, there's so much fantasy and it's widely accepted. And now,
well, it's because our generation of D&D nerds, some of them grew up to be the creatives in Hollywood and rose to positions where they're running shows and shit. I mean, like Javi. I mean,
yeah,
Javier Grillo, Markowitz. Yeah, he, you know, he's a showrunner. He's a friend of ours. He's a writer. He's a friend of ours from college.
Yeah,
and you know, we met him when he was 20, and now he's high enough in Hollywood that he runs shows. So it's like D&D nerd. I mean, so it's like the creatives finally got into the position where they could make stuff for us.
Yep.
That's kind of why we're winning the war now. I mean,
we're winning the war because we're in charge and we like these things, you know, and if we like them, they're going to be made. We're the ones making the decisions. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like, say what you want about Stranger Things, but man, Stranger Things is done with love. And I can see and feel the love when I watch that series because they get so much right. Like, it's not just playing lip service to the 80s. Like, someone is going there and finding, like, literally the clothes that people are wearing are things you could only find in the 80s. The first season, the kid had the same sheets I had. He had the same wallpaper I had. I'm like, oh my God. Even my brother called me up. He's like, Steven, did you see this? I'm like, I know, Danny. Can you believe this? Like, somebody like found a house that hasn't been updated since the 80s and filmed in it because like that's how accurate it was.
I kind of bounced a little bit because I thought season 1 was really good. And I thought season 2 slid back a little when they started getting into here is artifact X from the 80s.
Season 2
here's
was not
swatch.
So great. Yeah, no, that was a little.
Here's a Duran.
Yeah, but season
song.
3,
I mean,
dude,
and then it started coming back a little bit.
Season 3, come on, as a Monroeville Mallian, come on, did that not look like the Monroeville Mall? Did that feel like the Monroeville Mall? Come on, it totally did.
That was definitely an 80s. They definitely got the tone of an 80s mall, right? Yeah,
yeah.
So.
And even little things like the girls take the bus to the mall. Like, I used to have to do that. I had to take the bus to the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Like little things like that.
Yep.
Anyhow, the point is why I'm saying that is that I have a feeling that they're going to get, if they get all those little things right, which it sounds like they did, that is the difference between a good and a fantastic movie. It, quote, gets you. Like, and when that happens, you can get a Stranger Things phenomenon, which you can't explain why you feel so deeply satisfied watching it, but I have a feeling they might have gotten it, and they might have gotten the right people. And, you know, I see some people in the chat, they're saying things like, well, Chris Pine wasn't the first choice. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he was the 50th choice. If you get the right people to make this thing, and if it's good, that's all that matters. It's like, as long as what they used ended up being good, and if it's a good movie.
Well, and there's another small data point, and okay, I'm going to fully admit this is something you can fake.
Yeah.
But it seems like you can tell when a cast is doing the like promotion tours, you can kind of tell when they really had fun doing it versus when they were just going through the motions. And I've seen a few clips of like cast interviews and stuff. It seems like they get along, and they have their in jokes, and they have their patter, and it seems like they're a reasonably close cast that maybe actually enjoyed making this. It doesn't, you know, you can't turn you can't completely turn around a complete dog shit script, but it can make a difference at the edges if the cast is, clicking. And that was one of the things you always noticed about Marvel is the guy by the end, the Marvel guys were really like thick as thieves and really enjoyed working together, and they kind of brought that tone into the picture. And so it does seem like, again, it could not salvage an unsalvageable movie, but I think that sort of matters, and it does seem like they got some of that going.
June Solar said some of these cast members are clueless about D&D. You know what? So my brother, you can look him up, Danny Glicker. He did the Ghostbusters movie. He's in the Academy. He's been nominated for Academy Awards. He's won a lot of awards. And he's done a lot that you've heard of. I know what happens in these movies. I know it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the actors. Okay, this is the secret. As long as the actors get along with each other, that's what matters. If they get it, doesn't matter. You know who has to get it? The production, okay? The people doing the costumes, they have to get it. The people doing special effects, people doing the sets, the people doing the music, they have to get it. They are the ones that have to understand the era and the genre. And if they don't, then the movie will suffer. And they're the 99%. Okay, they're the movie.
It helps if the actors understand the source material.
It's not necessary.
But it's not necessarily
not
required.
Necessary.
And the director is the one kind of setting the tone on the day of and deciding, how they want to play this scene and what cut they want to use when they go to edit it. So you can, sometimes think that's overrated how much actors need to understand the source material.
They don't. It's 100%.
I think that's more of a little fist bump for the fans when the actor says, I read through 800 issues of Wolverine to get ready to play the role. Like,
it totally
he's one of us. But it
does not matter.
They're professionals. They've been doing this for years. So,
by the way, the poll, I'm going to end it now. 147 votes. 60% no, you're not going to see it in the theater, and 40% said yes. So,
I'm not surprised because you've been kind of riding a wave of anti-Hasbro, anti-OGL stuff for a little while now.
Oh well, yeah, I could have
that's probably reflected in the audience here, and that's cool. Believe me, I understand. I'm a little conflicted myself. At the end of the day,
I'm very conflicted.
At the end of the day, I'm still probably going to go see it, though.
I'm going to see it, but I'm furious at Hasbro, and I'm still going to call out all their bullshit constantly because, I see what they're doing. I worked in PR for almost 30 years. Like, to me, this stuff is as transparent as glass. Like, I see everything they're doing, and it's just annoying, man. It's just annoying to see what they're getting away with and what they're going to turn this into. But, don't we want more people in the hobby? Don't we want more people to enjoy this?
Yeah, I think that. Though the audience, the chat's making some interesting points that perhaps yes, no binary question of are you going to see the movie is a little not granular enough because it doesn't capture people who maybe stopped going to the movies because of the pandemic. Maybe a more accurate that one person said, Chief Hanker said, better survey question would have been if the D&D controversy has influenced your decision to see the movie.
Oh, I can do that one right now.
So
OGL.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've gone to a lot less movies in theater since the pandemic.
Right.
Not zero, but it's like a lot of times it just doesn't seem like it's worth the trouble. So Warren Rawlings, apparently, yes, it's coming out on Amazon next Sunday. I think just US or
I believe just you. I'm going to put I'll put it in the give me a second. I'll put in the link where you can buy tickets. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, there's a private link where you can buy tickets next Sunday at 2 p.m. and it's like everywhere.
So it's kind of pricey if you don't have Amazon Prime because you got to get Amazon Prime and the show. But if you already have Amazon.Prime, so excuse me.
Hold on, let me just finish this Dungeons and Dragons movie.
No problem.
In
the meantime, I will
theater.
sing some. I'll sing some show tunes.
Okay, we need 100 likes, and then we can hear him sing show tunes.
I'm not singing.
Yeah,
you might get the Sean Connery imitation out of
Ooh,
then again, you might
baby,
get that for free.
Sean
Get
Connery
that for free.
We get the Sean Connery Bane /
Bane's kind of rusty.
Bane Sean Connery imitation is really McCloud. So, oh wait, what was I going to talk about? I totally forgot. So let's see, blah 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 blah. I'm looking at the reviews. So how much does it bother people? Does this bother you, Jason, that they're doing things in the movie like the druid turning into an owlbear, which you can't do in the game? Like, how much does that bother you? That like, oh, you can't do that in the D&D game. Yes.
I'll put it this: I don't mind if they have to. I mean, it's a different medium, so sometimes you got to break the rules to satisfy the medium that you're working with. I mean, you're presenting things on a big 50-foot screen. You need some Michael Bay explosion type stuff to keep people excited.
Yes.
It's a popcorn movie. It's not being released in the summer, but it's a summery type movie. You kind of got to. I mean, if that means having your druid change into an owlbear, even though they're not allowed to do that, I mean, as long as it's like doing it every once in a while. If it's constantly breaking the rules so much that they might as well not even have put the D&D label on it, then maybe at that point it's a little cynical. But doing it once or twice just to make a scene work, make something exciting. I don't generally have a huge problem with that.
So I wanted to ask also, what do you think about the OGL controversy? Would you have seen this movie if this didn't occur at all, Jason? Or were you or did you make it like, oh, I'm definitely going to see this movie? I mean, heck, you saw Cocaine Bear. I mean, Jesus.
I imagine if there had never been any OGL situation, I feel like I probably would have watched the reviews early on just to make sure it was good because we've been burned with D&D before. But I probably would have ended up seeing it because I kind of like Chris Pine. Michelle Rodriguez is usually decent in whatever she's in.
And she's good. I mean, she's really good.
I feel like it probably would have won me over, and I probably would have gone to see it. Maybe I wouldn't have seen it first week. Maybe I would have waited and caught it a matinee or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I think I still would have seen it. And, the OGL made me think twice for a little bit, but I think I'm back in the corner of, what the heck? I mean.
So by the way, we get 63. We're getting 100 likes for Jason do something silly. Come on, man. We got 200 viewers and we don't have 100 likes. What's going on here? Wow, it's almost 50-50. It's almost exactly 50-50 for the OGL.
I'm going to start saying horrible things to try to get my likes down so I don't have to do anything silly. No.
Well, by the way, so some people are worried about the rules. It's so funny. So I don't know if you know this, but Hasbro or WotC, they hired pretty much every single senior designer and editor from Paizo in the last 6 months, and they almost hired Mark Seifter too, who instead went to work with me. They have everyone. I know a lot of people there, and the new playtest rules allow the druid to transform into one of 3 general type of stats. It's like a beast of air, beast of land, and like a beast of sea. And then what it looks like, you can just determine on your own. I hate to say it. I know people hate this. Not only do I not hate it and actually like it, but this thing has Paizo fingerprints all over it. Like as soon as I read that, I'm like, I guarantee that was written by one of the Paizo people, because that's the way you would do it. Like, it's just having the stat blocks of every single creature, or having it's so hard to balance. It's also a nightmare to actually just use in game. I mean, I hate it when people shapeshift and I don't have or they summon a creature and I don't have it, and then I got to look it up, and it's such a pain. You know what? it's a much more elegant way to do it. And yes, it breaks.
It's true. It's true. There was a portion of time where Pathfinder First Edition, the Summoner class was actually banned from Steve's table.
Yeah,
because it was just such a pain in the ass to like create all these summoned monsters, and it's like,
it takes so long, and then you got to find it, and then the person who summons it, they got to actually. It takes so long for their turns, and it just destroyed the game. And I hate to say it, I think it's a very well done, elegant solution, and I guarantee that was written by a Paizo person, because it smells exactly like something by Paizo would definitely do that, and it's very elegant. It's a good solution, and it allows you to both have something that works mechanically, and then from a creative point of view, you want to be an owlbear, you're an owlbear. You want to be a Wolverine, you're a Wolverine. You want to be a dolphin, you're a dolphin. You don't need to look up the stats for a dolphin. You're like, here's the stats, go.
Well, and that's kind of the sort of the general direction of D&D since 5th edition, is to kind of make some of those choices a little more open-ended for the storytelling purposes and a little less boxed in.
But I would see they would do that in Pathfinder 100%. That exact ruling, the way they did it, I totally see that. Wow, it's almost 50-50. It's 49-51 if the OGL controversy influenced your decision. That's still very high, okay? 50% means that, boy, they really messed up. But but it affects me too, but where's the tipping point? It's like, as I said when I started this, if the movie was supposed to be really bad, easy decision. If the movie's supposed to be okay, again, an easy decision. The movie's supposed to be fantastic. It's a hard decision, man. So there's the link, by the way. Adam Tickets. If you click on that link, you can see the movie next week. And I think I might have to now see it. And do an early review. So let me see. Let me see where it's playing by me. Oh no, it's playing in the Alamo Draft House. Oh my God, that's not fair. Oh no.
I am not ready to actually make a road trip to New York just for a movie, but the Alamo Draft House does sound like a pretty cool location. So we do not have
the Alamo Draft
here.
House near me is fantastic. We have
a place called Row House Cinema, which is nice, but it's not first run movies. It's more like, collections of, they like pick a theme for the week, and then they have four, like this either this week or next week is going to be Batman, where it's going to be like the Michael Keaton Batman, one of the Christian Bale Batmans, the Adam West 1966 Batman, and one of the other Batman, like maybe the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, and they do those for a week, and then they do Kaiju week or Western week or whatever. So it's the sort of same vibe in that it's a slightly upscale cinema where you can buy beer and buy snacks and a smaller house showing, but it's not for first run movies.
I'm in trouble now. Alamo Draft House in Yonkers, right by my house. You might want to come, man. It's really good. This is like a fantastic.
I'm not driving to New York for the D&D movie.
Yes, you can stay in the guest room.
I realize that shows my disdain, like a little bit of creeping disdain, but I'm not sure I could actually drive out just for the D&D movie.
This is a really good movie theater. I hate to say.
I will do it at some point. I mean, All right,
I'm going to stop this poll. Oh my God, it's 50-50. 50-50 or 50-49. Look at that.
The Phantomos conspiracy OGL controversy was all to drive D&D movie sales.
There's no. I
was going to say what sort of conspiracy would involve pissing off the people most likely to go see it? I mean, seems a little bit. I mean, it was. On the other hand, it's always like you say, any publicity is good publicity, but it's still. I mean, I don't know.
No, the controversy, like it's quickly fading for everyone's memory, but I'm going to make sure everyone still remembers this very clearly, and we're going to have a big. Actually, I'm having a talk at Gen Con, and not only am I going to be there, but Ryan Dancy's going to be there, and I think I'm going to get Mike from Mage Hand Press, and he was in the room he was in the room where it happened. He was in all those private meetings, baby. So between the three of us, oh boy, we're going to tell you everything, man. We're going to tell you, we're going to tell you why the OGL couldn't get revoked in the first place. I'll tell you my point of view. And then we got Mike, who was in all those private meetings, and he saw all the contracts, and he can tell you about everything he saw and what they were saying to him and how scared they were. And he told me they were very, 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 not just him, but other people, they were very scared about this coming out publicly. So this should be fun. So we're going to make sure everyone remembers that this was not supposed to come out. This was not supposed to be public.
Yeah, they thought it was just going to kind of sail in under the radar and get implemented. And
they just thought they were going to sign it. And that was it.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy, yeah.
Yeah, they did not think any of this was going to happen. And they weren't even listening. They didn't even have feedback. It was like, here's the contract. You have the Christmas break to sign it. Okay, by the way, that is an incredibly predatory move. You never do. I've had people do that to me before. They literally give it to
hitting you with contract changes right before the holidays when everyone's kind of shutting down for the year.
And then it's like, here it is on December 23rd. Here's the contract. You have until January 2nd to sign it. Yeah, great. Okay, good. That's gonna work. That is like the biggest dick move in the history of dick moves. Tiger Eyes. Hey man. So yeah, it looks like this movie has fantastic reviews. It's gonna come out next week, and oh man. So what do you guys think is gonna happen? Let's say this movie does great. Let's say it makes $1 billion. Now what? Does everyone forgive Hasbro? Does everyone forgive them and go back to D&D and now super excited and they ride that wave of free public publicity for people who have no idea what's going on about 6th edition? I refuse to call it 1 D&D. 6th edition.
I feel like, my personal gut reaction is the people who are pissed about the OGL are going to stay pissed about it. I feel like the goodwill, one good movie isn't going to erase what happened. I mean, it may get some people to go see the next movie, but I don't know that like they're going to all of a sudden. And it may get some new customers to try D&D.
No, it's going to get a lot of new customers.
So from Hasbro's standpoint, they may quote unquote win because more new customers will replace the ones who are pissed about the OGL and left. So cynically, Hasbro may come out winning regardless. But I feel like I don't think 2 hours of good movie is going to erase 3 months of shit show. That's not my vibe. Or not the sense I'm getting of it.
I hate to say it, but yeah.
Because you still see people on Twitter, setting aside the people on here who are still frustrated about it, you still see people bashing Hasbro on Twitter 3 months later. And I'm like, this isn't ever totally going away.
Well, I told you, that was the beginning. It's 2 years. It's about 2 years. It's all of this year and next year. Because next year is when 6th edition comes out. It's the 50th anniversary. They're going to have a whole bunch of things. But yeah,
is David Tennant going to be it? Oh wait, wrong 60th anniversary. Sorry,
that's a 60th. That's Doctor Who. No, this is the 50th 50 anniversary.
Sorry.
5. You gotta get your numbers right.
Wrong. I've just seen that it's
99 likes.
My humiliation is coming.
No, wait, one went down. 90. How did it go down?
No, we've been disliked.
Yeah, people are disliking.
No. Sorry, we're not going to sit here and obsess about it, but it's right on the cusp.
So people, by the way, people think it's some conspiracy, considering I'm the one who literally broke the story. I was the day before Gizmodo, by the way, and everyone thought I was faking it, and everyone thought I was doing it for attention, and it actually was pretty raucous there for a while until the Gizmodo article came out and literally backed up exactly what we said, because we had 3 sources, by the way, so from within places, so I knew it was correct. It's like if you have one source.
Steven, we're at 100 likes, son.
Oh, are we?
We've reached 100 likes.
Okay, Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod.
Junior. We named the dog Indiana.
But what happens if Sean Connery played Bane?
My Bane is rusty. People of Gotham, this invitation is yours. Are you going to go see the movie? It's a little too high pitched. I don't quite. The Bane's a little off. I haven't used the Bane in a while.
The Bane's a little off, but
I gotta be honest about that. The Bane's a little bit off.
But it's the Hunt for Red October.
Oh yes. It was said that when Cortez reached the New World, he burned his ships. It was to keep his men motivated. And yes, I do use the Connery occasionally during our gaming sessions.
Oh yeah, quite a bit actually.
Quite a lot actually. Yes.
Quite a lot.
It's my go-to. So.
It's is that your only
impersonation? Probably. Yeah, I don't know that I really have another one. Sorry.
It's like, what do you do? Connery. What else do you do? I do a young Sean Connery, and I got an old Sean Connery. Oh, do Jeopardy.
You're giving me far more credit than I deserve. Okay. I have one Sean Connery.
Do a Jeopardy Sean Connery.
Trebek, suck it, Trebek. This is the sound a cow makes, or this is the sound a dog makes. Moo. No, a dog says bark or rough. Rough, that's how your mother likes it, Trebek.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Those were very good Saturday Night Live episodes.
Yeah, that was good.
Someone wrote, okay, Tiger Eyes. I will never forgive WotC. They've been hands off since 5e. Pathfinder first, 3rd edition. Regarding the movie, I plan to see the movie much later when it's free or $3.99 rental. 6e bleh. And Bernardo, another regular. Steven, after your interview with the Paizo guy, that's Eric Mona, I am not conflicted at all. I'm going to see it in the theater for sure to endorse more of these in the future.
Yeah, get your Pathfinder Kingmaker movie in 2027 or whatever.
Well, they're working hard. I know for a fact Eric's working hard to get, Pathfinder something, whether it's...
And Starfinder, too. I don't remember where they had that deal with Amazon to, have Alexa content for Starfinder. Didn't they have, Nathan Fillion involved?
They still have real people. Yeah.
Yeah, so, they're trying to push their product, too. And in that sense, the D&D movie doing well might open up opportunities on that. Yeah. Shoot, I had a thought as you said that, then it kind of passed out of my head, but that's all right.
Because you're old like me.
Yeah, probably. There's some truth to that.
Yes. So. Well, what will be fascinating is this movie going to do really, really, really well and then fall off like a cliff? Like 2 movies I can think of that did that because the fan base went and then no one else went is Howard Stern's Private Parts, believe it or not. I don't know if you remember, that did amazing. And then, the second week, fell off a complete cliff. And Ant-Man, which was down 79% or something, because basically everyone who wanted to see it saw it, and that was it. And then no one saw it the next week, and it was a huge...
The first one or the second one?
The third one.
The current one, yeah.
The current one.
I noticed, I haven't seen it yet, so I was looking at showtimes, and it's already down to, one theater.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, damn.
Yeah, it just came and went.
Because you also had
there's a lot that came out the last couple
65 the
Creed
Adam Driver
came
plus
out.
Dinosaurs, Creed,
Creed's supposed to be fantastic, by the way.
I've heard that it might be interesting. Apparently Michael B. Jordan's a big anime fan, so he designed all the boxing scenes to kind of be like anime fight scenes.
He's a great actor. He loves the role. He literally kills himself. I think he wrote the script and he directed it. And by the way, a secret, anyone who, if you're the director, and if the director writes the script and directs it, I'd say 80% of the time, or more times than not, the movie will be very good because they're putting their life into this thing. And they totally understand the material because it's theirs. It's not 100%, but it's a good barometer, by the way.
Oh, I know what I kind of wanted to say.
Yes.
Regarding Tiger Eyes' point, I kind of feel where they're coming from. On the other hand, and I do stop business with companies, but I don't know that I've ever view it as permanently stopping business with a company. I view it as right now you're not meeting my needs as a customer, so I'm going a different direction. I almost always leave the door open that I might come back if they change what they're doing. I mean, and that's just my personal preference. I mean, I don't, your mileage may vary, as they always say, but I don't know that I ever, permanently cut a company off or anything. I always kind of keep a door open that they might change. But then again, Tiger Eyes' comparison is going back to 4E, so I mean there's a lot more mileage on that odometer than just what happened 3 months ago. So to be fair.
So by the way, a lot of people were asking me about my bookshelf. It's funny, my mother-in-law
the bookshelf's always popular.
Oh my god, my mother-in-law is like, oh my god, that bookshelf's amazing. People are always impressed by it.
I like it. I just don't know. I mean, at some point I'll probably get one.
I put in the link. There's a lot. Forgive my dogs, they see something. I'm by myself here. There's a lot of types. It's a tree bookshelf. This one's one of the big ones, and it's very strong. You want it to be very strong. I mean, this is probably like half a ton of books here. So,
is it on the floor or is it attached to the wall?
Okay, and attached to the wall.
You got to secure it as well.
I secure it because I don't want it to fall on me and kill me, because this thing would actually kill me.
So that would be a fitting end. Stephen Glicker buried under Pathfinder books.
Great. Stephen Glicker killed by Pathfinder.
Killed by his own collection of role-playing game books.
Well, I guess if you're going to go, that's the way to go for a geek.
I suppose so.
So now if we get 200 likes, maybe I'll do something weird. Now, I never do things weird, by the way, on this show, because I normally do things weird. So to me, it's just being me.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, the Pathfinder movie. I don't think there's going to be there was a movie. There was a Pathfinder movie. You can look it up.
There was?
Yeah, it's called Pathfinder.
Okay, even I didn't know
It's not Pathfinder. It's like it's a Viking movie. It's called Pathfinder, though. It's about Vikings. It wasn't that good. But you can see that. I think they're looking to do an animated series. That's what they've been trying. I think
the real question is the D&D movie going to be better than the Dungeon Siege movie with Jason Statham?
Which you saw in the theater. I made you see that.
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones I reviewed. The Uwe Boll Dungeon Siege movie.
Yeah. So, man. And so it's like I'm still talking about. I'm like, I gotta see this movie, but at the same time, like, all right, I don't know what to think. I'm so torn, man. I'm so torn. I want this movie to do well. I want everyone to see it and enjoy it, and I want more role-playing movies and content and publicity around role-playing games. But at the same time, God, I'm so angry that that Hasbro is gonna get rewarded. It's.
Yeah, no, it's a little hard to see that there's going to be all the good headlines and but I don't know.
What are you going to do about this? And even I heard, so they put out these books. I don't know if you saw that. They put out two prequel novels, and they put out like 2 prequel young adult novels. I mean, they're going all in on this thing. And the novels got good reviews. I'm like, oh my God, everything's getting a good review. The novels are getting good reviews. And actually, the one thing that didn't get good reviews, they came out with the character sheets, which by the way, there's spoilers in there, so don't get them. But they're not character sheets. They released them as monsters. Now, I know why they did that. There's a lot of reasons, because if you release it as a monster, then you can basically make it do anything you want. And if you release it as a character, then it has to be refined and boxed into what a character can do. So, and I guarantee these characters aren't like D&D characters. They're whatever they want them to be characters. A good example of them is like, I'd be curious to see the history if this actually was a D&D movie. I probably bet you it wasn't, because what they often will do is, I mean, the number of scripts Hollywood gets is like literally, no joke, thousands a day. Like people are like, thousands a day. Thousands.
Yeah.
Like it is insane. Okay, if you go to Hollywood, and I don't know if it's true as much now because of the digital age, I would go public places with friends, and you go like out to lunch, and you'd see people with stacks of scripts everywhere. Because that's all people do is read scripts. Like that's all they're doing. But a good example is the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which still is like stunningly good movie. that was not a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. That was just a pirate movie.
That they branded to Disney once Disney got the rights to it. Yeah.
And that was just a really good script, and they just branded it. And to this day, I remember when I saw it in the theater, I couldn't believe how good that was. Now, that is a good example of a good script and a fantastic cast and acting choices.
Yep. We have an interesting question. I thought you might want to
Tiger Eyes.
Look at Tiger Eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, we might need a few minutes to think about it and sort our thoughts out. What are our top 3 high fantasy movies of all time? I know there's at least one we're going to agree on. The one is going to be I imagine the one we'll agree on is the original Conan.
I was going to say it's like Conan. Like the original Conan, freaking masterpiece.
I'm sorry. The glib answer is the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy, full stop. But I mean, I'll put a little more thought into it.
All right. Well, the original Conan movie was, oh God. Even to this day, whenever it is on, like you want to see the epitome of an 80s movie, it is such an 80s movie, Conan, because it's basically a 2-hour music video, if you think about it. There's very little talking. The music is spectacular. It's all practical effects because that's all they had back then. You know, like at the end when they burned down the temple. I mean, they burnt down the temple. They really did that. They built it and burnt it. You could look it all up. Everything's real. That snake he fights. It was like a real snake they built. I mean, it's incredible. And all that viscera of that movie, it's like it feels gritty and nasty and gross, and damn, that movie is so freaking good. I mean, it's a little rough in patches, but on top of that, it's like, who are you gonna get to challenge Arnold Schwarzenegger, like literally Mr. Olympian, God? And he got, his workout buddies, who are just as big, if not bigger than him. I mean, it was like genius. Like, no CGI. I mean, these guys they make him look small, and they're his buddies from when he, that's what they are. They're literally his workout buddies.
Contemplate this on the Tree of Woe.
I know.
I love the Tree of Woe.
The Tree of Woe loves the Tree of Woe. Even the bad puppet. The puppet.
I will use a blanket I'll tell you what. I'll use Fellowship of the Ring as the blanket stand-in for the Peter Jackson trilogy. I really love. I know there's Tolkien purists who get pissed off at the fact that Tom Bombadil wasn't in it, but I thought the Peter Jackson trilogy was really good. And probably if you pushed me for an answer, I'd say Fellowship was the best of the 3 movies. So I'll put Fellowship in as one of them. And then I think my third, I'm going to go with the deep cut of the John Boorman Excalibur. So
really? Yeah.
I kind of like that one. I mean,
so I'll give you a couple.
So at the very least, it has the best use of Orf's Carbina Burana.
Oh God, the music in that is really good. The third act's a little.
It's got an interesting little cast to it too, because it's got all these people who went on to become famous people.
We got Jean-Luc Picard,
young Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren, I know.
Liam Neeson is in there for 3
Liam
scenes.
Neeson's in there too, and you have Patrick Stewart, who's really young. So he's so young, he has hair in that.
I might revise that third slot as I'm thinking of it, but for the moment, we will let the John Boorman Excalibur sit in my third slot.
I much prefer Krull, by the way. All right, actually, let me let my dogs out, and you entertain the people for 30 seconds, Jason.
I've got to entertain the people.
Give them a 4th and 5th movie. How about that?
A 4th and 5th movie. Okay. Geez. You caught me out now a little bit. Possibly Willow. I mean, Willow's got good moments to it. I'm not sure. I mean, I thought Val Kilmer was fun in his role. I don't know if that's necessarily. I don't know if that necessarily holds together as an entire movie. All right, sorry. Actually, since
Zolgathor
is going to bail me out here by asking who I am, since they don't recognize me. Yes, I'm I'm on a couple of the live plays. I was on the original
Couple. You're on every single one.
I was on the original Starfinder one as Basil, as Tuttle. Sorry,
you don't even remember your character.
Yeah, Tuttle Blacktail, and now I'm Basil Blackfeather. Apparently, I have a thing for the color black or something.
Jason was on every single live stream except for
I have not
Adventure.
done the circus one, but I've been on all the other ones.
He's been in every single one, and then he used to write a column every week where he recapped every episode. But after 500 episodes, he kind of
I got a little bit burned out. It felt a little. If anyone who's reading the column was on here, it got to a point where it felt like I was writing the same thing every week, and it got a little frustrating. And also I had some stuff going on the personal side that I just kind of took a break, and it turned into a longer break, and then all of a sudden I just wasn't writing anymore. So
that's fine.
So I got as far as a fourth movie. I got Willow, and then I kind of vapor locked on a fifth.
Let's see. I mean, for me, unfortunately, it's very similar to yours because we have things like Conan the Barbarian. Because Conan was such a change, and it's hard to say. Lord of the Rings, the whole trilogy. It's like I saw that. Man, I have not only seen that, I mostly like the extended versions, and I have seen that movie probably 5 trillion times. I can't even count. I actually listened to, there's 4 commentary tracks on each movie, and I listened to all 4 of them. That's something like 36 hours of just commentary tracks. So it gives you an idea of just how much I enjoy those movies. And it also was a cultural milestone in the fact that they not only won, like I think the most Oscars, or tied for the most Oscars ever, but it made fantasy acceptable, and there's a lot to it. As for the third one, God, some of them are here. We got some Time Bandits in here. Time Bandits. I saw that in the theater.
We got a couple mentions of Highlander. Since we both went to CMU, we're actually contractually required to like Highlander.
I love
For some
Highlander.
reason, since CMU has kind of a Scottish theme, it became kind of the cult movie of CMU. So you were kind of required to like Highlander.
So Jason and I went to Carnegie Mellon together. That's where we met. And Carnegie Mellon in the 80s, Highlander was like the official movie of Carnegie Mellon. So we saw it a trillion times. The other thing about the Highlander movie is that it shows the dirty 80s. That's actually a real term. Things like Glow show the dirty 80s. Parts of Stranger Things show the dirty 80s. Actually, most of Stranger Things. The dirty 80s is the things you don't remember about the 80s. Like, smoking was everywhere. They show that like in Stranger Things, like, oh, you're in an airplane? Someone's smoking to you? Welcome to the 80s. You know, like, that's what happened. You're in a movie theater and someone's smoking next to you? Welcome to the 80s and drinking a beer? Yeah. Totally
the dirty
legal.
80s.
Completely
Spaniards
legal.
named Ramirez with a Scottish accent.
Well, that wasn't, but it was
also part of the dirty 80s.
Well, you know, it's also dirty 80s. Terminator, original Terminator, very dirty 80s. Like that is, it shows you like fair. The nastiness of the 80s, because the 80s was coming out of the 70s.
Well, yeah,
and the 70s was
the bright Miami Vice, Duran, superficial gloss stuff.
That's the glossy 80s.
Underneath it, you had the other, it's kind of underbelly. Yeah.
Yeah. Excalibur is a good one. I actually saw like Excalibur in the theater, and believe it or not, Excalibur had a intermission in the middle. I don't know if you believe it or not. It was the last movie I ever saw that had an intermission. Damn, I'm just looking at some fantasies. Ooh, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Definitely not in my top, but that's not a bad one. The third one, ooh, Labyrinth. Labyrinth is not bad. I hate to say it. Princess Bride.
Dark Crystal a good choice.
Well, Dark Crystal is really,
I remember it being a little heavy for me as a kid. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really heavy. Oh, by the way, yeah, the Princess Bride, I had, you know what, if I'm going to go with a third, and I know that's kind of a cop-out, I have to say maybe the Princess Bride, because that's I just love that movie.
Yeah, I
love that movie. It's so, you know, because that was the first mixture of fantasy and comedy and just heart. And I don't know anyone who doesn't love that movie. Like, seriously, everyone loves that movie. Everyone. It's such a fun, goofy, silly, funny movie. and it's so quotable. It's just excellent. Great cast. I mean, what's not to like? So there's probably my third one.
Does How to Train Your Dragon count?
I've never actually seen it. I've seen parts of it.
My son was big into the How to Train Your Dragon movies, so
Pan's Labyrinth. I hate Pan's Labyrinth. I know people freaking love it, and I love Del Toro, but man, I hate Pan's Labyrinth.
I don't think I've ever seen Pan's Labyrinth.
I hated it, and people loved it. I think it's like a 99 on Metacritic, and I did not like it. Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk is a good example of a failed 80s movie slash music video, because back then, and people don't remember, but MTV music videos were a big deal in the 80s, like really big. Like that was a big freaking deal, and there was a lot of movies that were mostly music videos, and that is a good example of a music video movie. And it doesn't quite work. It's okay, but it has Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, the actual movie kind of drags. It's like there's like big chunks where not much happens, and I don't know. Matthew Broderick was kind of whiny for a lead, and I know he's supposed to be, but still.
Mouse, I think he was. I hated him. Oh, Flash Gordon. How can we not do Flash Gordon, Jason? Okay, Flash Gordon's my fourth.
See, I was kind of calibrated towards swords and sorcery, so I wasn't necessarily thinking Flash Gordon. I mean, certainly Flash Gordon was
War Rocket Ajax. Oh my god, Flash Gordon is so good.
And moment of silence for the passing of Topol.
I know, Topol.
So it's in the news.
I saw that.
So,
God, that movie is so freaking good. That's when I knew it's like I didn't love Ted, but when they had the whole sub story in the movie Ted
about how much the main character loved Flash Gordon,
I was like, God damn him, he really gets me.
We're speaking the same language.
I know,
here.
exactly. Oh yeah, the other thing, Flash Gordon and Highlander, Queen, soundtrack by Queen, best soundtracks ever. Oh, you could do Brian Blessed, Hawkman. Dive! Problem
is, that's the only memorable line he has. There's not much other Brian Blessed lines to fall back on.
And O'Brien's in it as one of the, not as the Hawkman, as one of the Green Men. And he's the man who wrote Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he's in it too. Dan O'Brien.
Cole Meany?
No, Dan O'Brien. Dan
O'Brien. Okay, sorry. I thought you meant Chief O'Brien from
No. Dan O'Brien. He's the bald one, and he's one of the those people in the forest. And he wrote and starred as Riff Raft in actually, you want to say a fantasy? If that counts as a fantasy movie, that's my number one then.
Okay, that's fair.
I freaking love. I like that movie even more than I like Rocky Horror more than even Conan. I hate to say it. Willow. Okay, so Willow is an interesting movie because it was very ahead of its time. It also was the first movie to ever have morphing in it, by the way, the morph effect. And Legend sucks. I hate Legend. That's a music video, by the way. That is like a total.
I have to admit, video. I don't think I ever saw Legend.
It's
I know Tom Cruise, Mia Sara. I know.
Oh, boring.
Was it Tim Curry? Was the bad
Tim
guy?
Curry.
Okay. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know that I ever saw it.
It's so boring. I lost my train of thought. But Willow is.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. Willow's good. Willow's fine. Willow is. I got to see the TV show. I hear it's pretty fun. Yeah, Richard O'Brien. Did I say Dan O'Brien? I meant Richard O'Brien.
You said Dan O'Brien.
Oh, sorry. I meant Richard O'Brien. I tell you, it's long COVID. It's a real thing, man. My memory. I used to have like a freaking steel trap. I had your memory, Jason.
I was going to say, I think.
My memory's definitely gone haywire since Conan. Since Conan O'Brien. That's what I was looking. Since COVID, I've lost the ability to like pull things out of my hat.
Dan O'Brien's like a decathlete or something.
Yeah. Oh, we're losing you. Now we're
losing me.
Oh, now you're back. Oh wait, here we go. Okay, the Tiger Eyes gave us Lord of the Rings, Conan the Barbarian, Highlander. I've never heard of it. Price's
Bridge. I'm not familiar with that.
Never heard of that. Excalibur. Excalibur is very slow, though. That's the thing. Excalibur.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if my complaint about Lady Hawk is that nothing happens. There are also large chunks of Excalibur where nothing happens.
Very slow. Like Excalibur is. I mean, dude.
Oh, Princess Bride. Price's Bridge was an autocomplete failure.
Princess Bride. Yeah, Princess Bride. By the way, the thing about I saw that and there was an actual intermission in the movie. That shows you how long it was. That's a movie that needs to get cut by about 30 minutes, and that movie will go from really good to absolutely fantastic. Because it is a very, very long movie, by the way. Max von Sydow was Ming.
Yeah.
And they had Topol. I mean, man, they got everyone in that movie. That movie was great. And the whole thing is, and it was filmed by Dino De Laurentiis, and like they had no idea what was going on. Like no one spoke the same languages. It was a total mess. It was like a spaghetti western when they filmed it.
That was the taking a whole lot of drugs 80s.
Oh man, that's the other thing about the 80s. There's a lot of people who don't remember making their movies. Time Bandits. Oh, a lot of people. So here's the thing. A lot of you are not as old as Jason and I, so we will recommend movies that you should go see. If you've not seen Time Bandits, you're in for a treat. That movie is weird as hell. That's Terry Gilliam.
That's Terry Gilliam, right?
Yes, Terry Gilliam. Yeah. And anything by Terry Gilliam is whoa. Sean Connery, Jason, let's hear it. He was in Time Bandits.
Yeah, but...
You don't remember. Here, I'll give you some minutes.
I've got to go kill the Minotaur. I know was it Perseus or Theseus? Or
yes.
He fights the Minotaur.
Yeah.
I remember that. And he's like the guy that's nice enough to the main character that he considers staying behind. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he wants to stay as his son.
It's been a little while since I watched Time Bandits.
I got another one. You could do Dragonheart, another Sean Connery. He's coming up a lot, man. He's coming up a lot.
I remember Dragonheart existed, but I never saw it.
Oh, don't touch it. It's evil. Don't touch it.
By the way, Connery is a talking dragon, and Dennis Quaid is the hero.
Jabberwocky is disgusting. That's another Terry Gilliam movie. That is a disgusting movie. Zardoz. Zardoz. The gun is good. The penis is bad.
Zardoz is an elaborate practical joke. I don't think it actually ever
existed.
That
movie's not that bad. I actually
took pictures of Sean Connery in that and claimed there was a movie.
It's not terrible. It's not a terrible movie. It has some pretty interesting... It's a very 70s movie. If you want to see a movie and you want to know what it was like living in the 70s as a child... Watch Zardoz, and that was the 70s.
Or Tiger Eyes mentions the old Ray Harryhausen stop action ones.
Yeah, that was even before our time. Like, well, you know what? We forgot about Clash of the Titans.
Well, they were our time in that they were on we were kids. The local public access channel or whatever.
Yeah, and we were kids when those movies came out. 3 Elementals Ninja. Yeah. Five Elementals Ninjas. Yeah, the 5 Ninjas, 5 Elemental. Yeah, that's a top 5 movie of all time, man. I freaking love that movie. That movie is amazing. Amazing. If you have not seen that movie, you're in for a treat. And I'll give you a secret. Everyone dies. Everyone. There's like 500 people in the movie. All 500 people die at the end. There's no one alive by the end of the movie. It's really good. Barbara Ella. That was not so great. Blade Runner. Ooh. Yeah, Blade Runner. That's not that's science fiction. That's science fiction, baby.
I'm not sure I'd consider that high fantasy, but
Jason
it's still a great
Argonauts.
movie. I mean,
Mario Brothers. So it's so funny. A lot of our talks end up ending. So we always start with the topic, and then we end up just talking about 80s movies, and everyone freaking loves it. But you know what? You got the right person, because when I do this with Mark Seifter doesn't watch movies.
It's the pop culture gravity well. It just coalesces.
Yeah, but Jason and I have seen everything. In fact, the first time Jason and I met each other and went out on a bro date, if you'll call it that, we saw Akira together. Remember that, Jason?
I guess we did.
Yeah, we saw Akira.
Right. Okay.
We saw Akira in downtown Pittsburgh, and it was fucked up, that movie. I was like, what the hell?
Yes. Was that downtown or was it the Playhouse?
No, it was downtown. We actually, because you had to drive me, because that was the only place we could see it.
That's right. Part of how Steve and I got to meet each other was that since I was local and he was from New York, I had access to a car and he did.
But so I used Jason for his car.
Out of such small things.
Yeah, but we saw a lot of movies
great
together.
Things are born. I don't know.
Yeah, then we saw a lot. Logan's Run. Logan's Logan's Run. That's another very 70s movie, by the way. Buckaroo Banzai. I love. You love when I get to talk about movies, because movies are a big part of my life. Like the biggest part of my life. I mean, I was a movie reviewer like for years, and so was Jason. Like I ran the entertainment section of our school newspaper for 2 years, and I went to movie classes. I've taken movie courses. I've been to Pittsburgh Filmmakers. I actually worked at MTV. My brother's in the movie industry. If I wasn't doing this, I'd probably do movies. I actually was in the entertainment industry, and it was so nasty that I left. I wanted to go into it, but then when I was actually in it and working in it, I didn't like it professionally, so I left it. And that's so I can still appreciate movies, and I love them, but I cannot make them. And God bless my brother, who, by the way, is working on a movie now, and I think he's in Thailand, and he works like 20-hour days, and that's not a joke. Like he works 20 hours. Like he's lucky if he gets 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I mean, God bless him. It's so hard to work in the movie industry. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Evil Dead. Oh God, Evil Dead is so freaking good. Yeah, we have Highlander, Evil Dead 3. Evil Dead 3? Oh my God, Evil Dead 3. How can we forget that? That was a D&D movie. Jason, you there?
Yeah, no, I don't know if I've ever seen Evil Dead.
Oh, come on, that's Army of Darkness.
I know it's Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell. I know.
You never saw that?
I know what it is, but I feel like I've never seen it.
I saw that in the theater at Monroeville with myself, Mike Shapiro, and my dad. I
saw Army of Darkness, yes. But I don't know if I've ever seen any of the Evil Dead ones.
Oh. Well, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 are basically the same movie. Evil Dead is a very, 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 very low budget. Evil Dead 2 is a remake of Evil Dead.
The original Evil Dead.
With a much hard... By the way, Evil Dead 2, fantastic. Evil Dead, still banned in some countries. Swear to God, in the year 2023, still banned. That's how disgusting that movie is in some ways. And there's a movie before the Evil Dead that was made as a test reel. It's like 11-minute movie by Sam Raimi. And that one is also Evil Dead. So there's 3 Evil Dead movies, actually, if you really want to count.
Yeah, so we are, Sarah and I, we are a little bit afield from our original topic that somebody asked us what were our,
what was our topic? Our topic is the D&D movie.
And somebody had asked us what were our favorite,
and then it just turned into
fantasy movies, yes. And we've been in the weeds since then, so I apologize for that.
But you know what? People are having fun. Look at the chat. The chat's going crazy. Hey, man, everyone likes to talk about fun things, and it's a Sunday. We're not doing anything. Let's talk. Oh, Big Trouble in Little China. God, see, that's fun.
A good one. Yeah.
You see, that's a Western that they rewrote. The best thing about that movie is the hero of the movie is not the hero.
No, in fact, he's kind of incompetent most of the time.
He's incompetent and the sidekick, no less.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm looking at these. Evil Dead, Hercules, the Legendary Journeys. Hercules, that actually was one of the most popular series in the history of the world, believe it or not. But Xena, vastly superior. And that guy we talked about, Javi Markowitz, he was going to be the showrunner for the reboot of Xena. It was a friend of ours, and they stopped it. I don't know whatever ended up happening to it. If you ever want to watch a good show, watch The Middleman.
There's a chance it was COVID related because it was around that time.
Right. Yeah,
but an interesting question was the Phantomos asked what we're thinking about the new Lord of the Rings movies. I think it's too early to say. I think it's like what subject. I think I'd want to know what subject matter they're going to be tackling, or at this point. I'm open to the idea that there's other good stories to tell in the Lord of the Rings world. I mean, I found the first season of the Amazon TV show tolerable.
I didn't watch it.
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was watchable.
Danny was offered both the Lord of the Rings and the Wheel of Time, by the way, both of them.
I know you said Wheel of Time would have been like going off to Croatia.
So was Lord of the Rings. He had to go, and he was offered both, and he turned both down, and I yelled at him. Especially Lord of the Rings, because they put $1 billion into it, and I'm like, dude, you have guaranteed job safety for years because they're never canceling a show that costs $1 billion, not even Amazon, and they won't, and they're never gonna. That show's going to be out forever.
I would go with cautiously optimistic. I mean, the Hobbit did pop my balloon a little bit because The Hobbit was such, that was like 1.5 good movies stretched out to fit onto 3 movies.
That's like Star Wars syndrome, not the last series, the middle series. It's like there's a good movie in there somewhere. If you look, you could find a good movie, but you have to look, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not seen Ring of Power. I've not seen Wheel of Time. I've not seen the new Eyes of the Dragon. I've not seen any of those, unfortunately.
I don't know. I guess the ending of the original Game of Thrones left me so cold that I survived about 10 minutes of the first episode of the new Game of Thrones, and I was just, whatever.
So Tiger Ice
is part of it.
He's never heard of Evil
part of it
Dead,
was the Targaryens have always kind of been the least interesting characters to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, a whole series about the characters I don't like. Okay, sure.
So Tiger Ice has never heard of Evil Dead. Wow. But I guess we are old. So Evil Dead basically was the template. I know this sounds crazy, but bear with me for a second. Evil Dead is the template for all Marvel movies of all time. I know it doesn't sound possible, but it is. I'm going to tell you why.
I'm going to defer here because I've never seen it, so I'll just have to let you roll.
Okay, so Evil Dead was created by Sam Raimi, and Sam Raimi had the Coen brothers as his editor of the Evil Dead. Yeah, exactly. You're like
Raising Arizona guys? Oh, wow.
Yes. The Coen brothers were his editors, and that movie was a nightmare to edit. You have like royalty on this movie, and they were in their 20s when they did that movie. He does things in that movie that nobody did. There's very few filmmakers who do very original types of shots. Steven Spielberg invented the zoom in, zoom out shot, which you can see in Jaws. It's basically where you zoom in and then keep the focus of the character so their face stays the same size and the background zooms in. He invented that shot. There's a lot of shots invented by Sam Raimi. Where you really start to see those shots appear is Darkman. Remember Darkman?
I remember Darkman.
You and I saw it in the theater. Of course we saw that. Darkman, which is not a great movie, but it has some amazing cinematography. That is why he was hired for Spider-Man, because of his vision, of his cinematography, because it felt like you were watching something that wasn't a movie, that was kind of something else, like a comic book or something else. He started Spider-Man because he did Evil Dead and because he did Darkman. And then he sort of laid down the template for what a movie should be of that genre.
Well, that's like, I mean, I always say, like, through modern eyes, Citizen Kane doesn't look like that quote unquote great a movie, except that it wrote the playbook that every other movie after it follows that we now take for granted. And so in that kind of action adventure space, it sounds like Evil Dead kind of does a lot of the same thing.
Yeah, now Frosty's like, Evil Dead equals template for Marvel, acid flashback for Mr. Glicker. Believe it or not, okay, this is true. Okay, first I've taken classes, and the second, don't forget, my brother works in Hollywood. I know a lot of these things behind the scenes. People get movies, especially directors, not based, it mostly has to do with things like their vision and how they film the movie. There's other elements like how they work with the crew and how well they work with special effects, which is not a small thing because he did very heavy special effects movies, and he, being Sam Raimi, was able to get Spider-Man because that was a very heavy CGI movie. And back then, when they did CGI, by the way, I can go into a rant about this, why CGI is so bad nowadays. When they did CGI back then, is that the directors would direct the CGI. Nowadays, and they would get all the information on set. They would actually figure out what the lighting was. They would figure out where the shadows were. So they would make sure that when the CGI was added, they gave all the information to the CGI artists. So they did a lot of work on set. Nowadays, and this is why so much CGI is bad, they don't do this. These people literally just film it, and they say, they'll fix it in post, and then CGI artists have no idea what to do, and they have to figure it out.
The whole thing in front of a green screen, and then insert the rest of the movie later. I mean,
yeah, but what they do now, so he was hired because of that. The same reason that Peter Jackson was hired to do Lord of the Rings, because he did The Frighteners, which is a fantastic movie, by the way. And he did all those horror movies, and they have a lot of practical special effects. And he had a vision. Like if you watch The Frighteners, really fascinating movie. It's one of my favorite movies. It starts off as a comedy, and then the first act is a comedy. The second act is a drama / mystery, and then the third act is horror. Like no one does.
There's three things you don't usually combine.
No one does that.
If they managed to fit some rom-com in there, they really would have been cooking.
No one did that. And his ability to mix the genres and use special effects is what got him Lord of the Rings. I could talk about this all day, by the way, as you can see. I'm very much a historian of movies and like how they get made. And I've read a lot of books on this stuff. So it really has to do with like, you know, if you're going to hire someone, and it also goes the other way. Because remember the guy who was hired to do the Fantastic Four movies, he did that movie, what was that movie? It was actually a fantastic movie. I mean, even though the Fantastic...
Oh, you talking about the remake one? Josh
the remakes. But he did a small movie that was so good.
Yeah, it was... I forget the name of it. You're talking about the one where the teenagers figure out how superpowers? Yeah, I forget the name of it, but I know what movie you're talking about. So I'm looking it up.
That's a very good movie. Chronicle. Chronicle. He wrote Chronicle. And
that was pretty good.
That was a very good movie. And because of Chronicles, why he got Fantastic Four, and he wrote it. Bad movie. You know, it's like, you know, so it can go against you sometimes, you know. It's not everything. We got some super chats. Stranger Things in film. Metropolis, the original. By the way, that's in that's public now, public domain. One of my favorite horror movies of all time, Night of the Living Dead. Yep, that's right by us, Pittsburgh.
Filmed in Pittsburgh. Shout out George Romero.
Yeah, who did everything in Pittsburgh. First cross-ethnic slap of a woman and brutal death of a hero. I've never heard of any of these movies, so I guess I'll have to look those up.
No, I think no. A Knight's Tale. Those weren't names of the movie. Those were things. Those were things that Night of the Living Dead did. It was got it. Yeah.
A Knight's Tale, by the way. that movie's not bad. That's also a movie. That's a total music video movie, by the way. Looper.
Yeah, but it was I watched it on. I think I watched it on an airplane. It was like, you know, it's kind of goofy, but it's kind of fun in its goofiness. So it was all right.
Cloud Atlas. That's an overblown. I love the Wiskowskis, by the way. By the way, there was another example of The Matrix. So not only was special effects so good because they invented half of them, but again, the difference between really good special effects and not good special effects is if the directors actually direct the special effects and have practical material on the set to help the VX effects work. And what I mean by that is they need these like gray tennis balls, and they need all this stuff so they know where shadows and lighting is. Because if they don't have all these material on set, when it goes to post, they don't know where to put shadows. They don't know where to put the light. They don't know what temperature the light should be. Okay? And that's the very first thing. That's the difference between a movie looking good or looking bad, because the special effects don't look because they literally don't match. They don't match the same color.
Yeah, if you're supposed to be on a sunny beach and the lights are like fluorescent type lights. Yeah.
There's all these little things.
Your brain picks it out even if you don't necessarily articulate it. Yeah.
So that's why there's certain directors that are seen as better directors for VX type movies. Bill and Ted. Oh man, dude, I love Bill and Ted. Love. And talking about an 80s movie, that is an 80s movie that takes place at a mall in the 80s, and it's like, yeah, that's the 80s. That's an excellent 80s movies, by the way, because it was filmed right in the middle of the 80s, feels like the 80s, looks like the 80s, and it was the 80s.
In the Iron Maiden.
It's like, Iron Maiden's righteous. Execute them. Bogus.
Oh, my goodness. That movie was just...
Tiger Eyes. $5 super chat. Hey, man, thanks. Just because I love your streams, so awesome as always. Hey man, yeah, well, it's a Sunday. We got nothing better to do. I'm by myself. I was editing, and I felt like I wanted to talk about the D&D movie because I can't believe it's getting such good reviews. Yeah, it's just everyone loves it, and it's getting absolutely fantastic reviews. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I think I'm gonna have to see it, and then just enjoy it for what it is.
With the tip of the cap to Alien.
Yeah.
Alien was one of those movies where, to see it, I had to sleep over at my friend's house, and we had to stay up past midnight because the R-rated movies were on HBO like late at night. So that was the arrange the sleepover to a friend's house because we heard how good it was and we needed to see it. So Gary says the Matrix special effects haven't held up though. Keep in mind this movie came out in like 1999, so it's been over 20 years, so it holds up. It's fine for me. The thing about they did well. Hold up, they did kind of. You got to give them credit. They kind of reinvigorated the superhero genre.
Yes,
because I mean, before that, superhero effects were putting somebody on strings and putting a blue screen behind them, and the Christopher Reeve Superman movies was your special effects, and now it's like, now it's what it is. I mean, and The Matrix was a large part of building that. So I mean, it's one of those movies that's another one that's, I think, it's going to be remembered more as a pioneer of the technology and of filmmaking than it is necessarily for the story. Though the first one, at least, is a pretty good story too.
I'll give you an idea of just how much these are part of popular culture. The chairs in The Matrix, okay, those silver chairs. Watching The Matrix, and they're sitting in these like silver chairs. You've seen those chairs everywhere now. They're everywhere. They were invented for The Matrix, and they were literally designed for The Matrix, and they came out later, and they're now one of the most popular chairs of all time in the world.
Nice.
Like things like that, like they influenced popular culture. I mean, when The Matrix came out, it was a big deal. What I love about The Matrix, by the way, is that it is a movie that no one does this, is that usually whenever you see a movie, they will have a 3-act structure, and the third act is, okay, you discover you're in the Matrix. Maybe the second act is they discover they're in the Matrix. Oh, no.
No, we're just going to get that out of the way 10 minutes into the movie.
They're in the Matrix. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, that is some balls, man. Like, no one does that. Because someone mentioned Dark City. By the way, also had O'Brien in it. Richard O'Brien, he plays one of those bald guys. I love that movie. That, by the way, that's a Richard Ebert's like one of favorite movies of all time. He actually did the commentary track on that. Dark City, that movie is fantastic. And that, I don't want to give spoilers because probably a lot of people have not seen that movie. That movie also was an excellent 3-act structure because things that normally get released in the third act can happen in the second act. And that is such a good movie. Such a good movie, the Dark City. Definitely see that. If you've not seen Dark City, see that. And try not to look anything up. Oh yeah, the American, yeah, I remember those days of like seeing things. I had HBO. My parents are very big into movies. I had a VHS back in 1976. My parents bought a VHS player, and they would tape stuff for me. And we had HBO since we had Cablevision and HBO since 1975. So I grew up with all this stuff. So I was one of those kids who can get the R-rated movies, and my parents totally did not care what I watched. You've met my parents, you know how little they would care. They totally don't care. Yeah, I would watch my parents. They went, I was a kid, I was like 9 or something, and my mom came back from and I was being babysit, and they came back, and my mom told me in detail about Alien, and she told me like the whole story, and I was like, oh my God, it sounded so horrible. I was like, why is my parents going to go watch Alien? How about The Thing? No one mentioned The Thing.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is that movie is an A++ movie, and then when that thing came out, it was a bomb. Talk about a bomb. Was that a bomb, that movie? Time Bandits, The Abyss. Okay, so The Abyss, very, very, very good movie. Uneven, weird ending, but way ahead of its time. And if you watch it now, I think it's one of those movies that holds up better now than back then.
And another movie where James Cameron just shows off.
You know what?
Like the technique of the making movies.
Well, you can say what you will about Avatar, but James Cameron and why he's respected so much you see, 95% of movies out there are using existing film techniques, and they just use each other's, or they're hire studios. There's only a very, very small handful of people out there who invent techniques. James Cameron invents technologies and techniques.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg.
Avatar, the old, not the one that's just came out, but the original Avatar basically made 3D credible again.
Yeah.
Because 3D was kind of a bit of a joke up until that point.
Yeah. I mean, he did everything. And he invents all this stuff, like all that ability to shoot underwater, all that is all invented by him. And he basically moves the entire industry forward. Steven Spielberg, like Sam Raimi, obviously Peter Jackson, because he owns Weta. I mean, he had a whole bunch there. We still haven't, everyone keeps mentioning it. We keep forgetting to mention Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail. And of course, Life of Brian, which are both, those are almost godfathered in, because anything by Monty Python is almost like, it doesn't need to be on the list. It just is part of the list. It's like,
yeah. Monty Python is pretty much part of our DNA growing up. So it's like,
yeah. Let's see. Steven should just acknowledge he's going to go find the justification to see it. Oh, of course I'm going to find the justification to see it. Justification to see the movie. I'm going to tell you why my justification to see the D&D movie. I want to see it. There you go. And more importantly, I don't see that many movies anymore in the theater. Like, I really wanted to see Ant-Man. I had no one to see it with. I have no one to see these movies with. No one wants to see it. You know, and like 10 years ago, I'd have friends. I'd be like, you want to see Ant-Man? They're like, yeah, sure. Just for the enjoyment and the, just to go see a movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, it's like, I understand holding the line or whatever, but at the same time, there's something different about, I'm going to go subscribe to this service and pay these people an ongoing $10, $20, $30 a month and buy $50 books from them once every 2 or 3 months versus I'm going to give them $10 and go see a movie. And most of that $10 is going to other people. It's sort of, maybe I'm copping out on, degrees, but that's kind of where I am with it. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
probably going to see the movie alone. Someone said, it's fine to see. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up seeing it alone. I don't know anyone who's going to, well, my friends want to see it, but we were all going to meet in Manhattan and see it together. And I don't know if anyone can meet next Sunday at 2 p.m. to see it. And also, they're very expensive now. I'm in theater. It's like $20 to see a movie or something. And
I don't know if they've started doing the thing with the charging more for the middle seats yet too.
I know that's oh my god. Well, good. Like, okay, just one less reason for me to go home. Well, also the thing is, you would see a movie, and the thing about seeing these movies is that you had a big theater and you had the experience. Everyone has a 70-inch television that's 5K, 8K, and everyone has amazing setups at home, they're just as good as the theater. It's not the same, but it's pretty damn close. So,
well, yeah.
Warlock. Did I see with you? I saw that at the Pittsburgh Playhouse. I might have seen that with Mike Shapiro. That might have been Mike.
Yeah, I don't remember for certain, because I know I saw that, but I don't remember if I saw that with you or someone else. But
now, Warlock is a movie that 150% commits to its presence.
Yeah, it does not get embarrassed by the material at all. It's just like we're 16th century warlocks running around contemporary Los Angeles, and we're just going with it. Across the entire country.
Yeah.
They start out in LA and they end up in like Boston because it has to be in like a church in Boston where they have their final showdown or whatever.
Yeah. And not only that, like you have to give credit to movies that do that. Like, they're just like, yeah, this is happening. We're here and we are totally buying that we came from the 16th century, and I'm hunting for a warlock that's killing people and boiling kids alive and eating them.
That's what I loved about Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear was kind of like in that same vein. It's like, you know what? It's a bear. It's like it sniffed a bunch of cocaine.
I'm sure
now
it's
going to
great.
attack a bunch of people. And we're just going to have fun with that premise. And, you know, it's like, let's go for it. I mean, you got to respect it. I mean,
so we have some people came late because now we're getting Excalibur. We didn't mention that was Jason's like second or third best.
That was my number 3.
That was their number 3. Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk's very uneven, but it is okay. 1 million BC. No. 1 million years BC. No. If you're going to see a movie, see Caveman. That's a much better movie, by the way.
What with Ringo Starr?
Yes, and okay. Shelley Long and Dennis Quaid.
I mean, I've seen it, but it's been so long, I don't remember it being good.
It's terrible, but it's so funny.
More of the Mystery Science Theater thing?
No. It's an A+ Mystery Science Theater. Caveman has... Okay, that is an all... If you're not seeing Caveman, it has Ringo Starr, Dennis Quaid, Shelley Long, and the what's his name? Jack Gilford. Let's see, Cork Hubbard. Oh, what's his name? Was the
Sorry, I'm running for IMDb.
Oh, here it is. John Maskowski. He was Tonda. Remember him? He was in Time Bandits and all those movies. He was the football player, remember? He was really good, and then he died. Like, remember John? He died in 1989. He was in Gremlins. Not Gremlins. He was in The Goonies. He played, what's his name? Grog, or whatever the guy's name was. You know who I'm talking about? You there, Jason?
No, I'm sorry. I'm reflecting. I'm not sure I recognize this person.
Oh, yeah. It's Kowalski. He's from Wisconsin. He was a professional football player for the Oakland, Los Angeles Raiders, and then the Oilers.
Oh, John Matuzak.
Matuzak.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. He was in One Crazy Summer. He was in Ice Pirates. By the way, Ice Pirates, great, terrible movie. Oh, finally, someone else who loves Caveman. Caveman is fantastic. It is so terrible, but I love it. It's really funny.
Oh, Richard Mole.
Yes.
Bull from Night Court.
Everyone's in this movie. It's a great,
Sorry,
terrible
I'm looking
movie.
at the cast list.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It was also a staple. I saw that 500 times. It was on.
That feels like a lot of one. That feels like one that might be familiarity breeds adoration because it was on HBO all the time.
It was, but it's an actually genuinely funny movie. It watch it now. Trust me, it's a really funny movie.
Okay, I might now. I don't know where. I begin to wonder where one would even find Caveman at this point.
It's got good stop motion animation. It has like lots of little funny bits. It sees him trying to invent the wheel. It has good costuming. I mean, hey, well, I was just thinking of movies that like completely dedicate to the bit.
That's
Caveman,
fair. Okay.
Totally dedicate. They dedicate, man. Kroll. So here, Kroll. Okay. Oh, Zug. Yes, Zug. That's how they said sex. They went Zug. Kroll. So the thing about Kroll is a high fantasy movie that tried too hard and had bad casting. Sort of. Some of the casting. The lead was terrible. Everyone else was actually pretty good.
My blow your mind trivia fact: the guy from Krull ended up being Commander Eddington on Deep Space Nine, the little bald commander guy who went on to be part of the Maquis. That was the lead guy from Krull.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah,
he's way better as Eddington. He's great as Eddington. He was terrible in Krull.
But he was fantastic as Eddington.
Oh, God.
I'm drawing a blank on the actor's name, but I discovered that.
Good.
I was like, holy shit, that's that guy?
Yeah, he was really... Eddington was fantastic. Last Action Hero, that's another one. Last Action Hero, way ahead of its time. And that would have been done better as an 80s movie. Unfortunately, it's an early 90s movie and feels like it. And that is not a great movie because of some of the set design choices, but the concept. You see, there's movies that are very good scripts and very good concepts.
It also never quite decided whether it was, whether it was making fun of the genre or not. It was like it would do it for a little bit, And I thought like the cop, like the police station assigning wacky partner pairings thing.
Yeah.
Animated cat, you're with the rabbi.
Yeah.
And like that stuff like that was actually hilarious. And if they'd kind of committed to the bit a little bit more, and it's like they started to do that, and then they'd walk back and try to make it into a regular movie. And
yeah.
come on, go for it.
Yeah. That was I actually saw that in the theater. That was the first movie that didn't make, I think, over 100 million for Arnold. Every movie Arnold ever did, no matter what, even like Red Heat and all those crappy ones, still made over 100 million. It was the first one, I think, that bombed ever for Arnold. And then that was the beginning of the end. Little Shop of Horrors, Ghostbusters. Yeah, I mean, Little Shop of Horrors, by the way, that is a very fascinating history, that movie. That is almost a Rocky Horror in many ways. Ghostbusters. See, Ghostbusters is 2 movies. I'll tell you 2 movies that are 2 movies. Okay, Ghostbusters was an R-rated movie that got turned into a PG movie, by the way, because that was an adult movie and they just sort of turned it into a kids movie. The other one is God damn, I can't remember.
That was probably because of Belushi dying. I noticed a lot of the few of the Aykroyd Belushi projects were all R-rated, and then maybe because Belushi died, maybe they toned it down. That was part of the reason they toned it down.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's my theory, anyways.
Yeah, and then the other one, which by the way was very hard R, and then they changed it, is Galaxy Quest. Believe it or not.
I didn't know it was hard R. I know they had the obviously you could see the F-bomb that they left in there.
Yeah, there was
at least that you could read Sigourney Weaver's lips, but I didn't never realize the whole thing was hard R.
Well, keep in mind she's like walking around nearly topless. Like there's a lot more in that movie, and that movie was very, very different than what it was supposed to be. And I think it's a fantastic movie. And I've seen it 1,000 times. I love that movie, and it's got Dwight from The Office in it.
Oh right, he's one of the aliens.
Yeah, he's one of the aliens, and then the lead is he's a famous comedian. He was like
Tim Allen. Yeah,
no, not Tim Allen. The lead alien guy.
Alien.
Yeah, I forgot his name. He's been
Balthazar or whatever.
Yeah, Balthazar. He's been in a million. He was like Big Hero 6. He's been in a lot of things. He's really good. Oh my God, 1941, great comedy. No, 1941 was a terrible movie, and that almost destroyed Steven Spielberg's career. Because when that came out, everyone was super excited because Steven Spielberg could do no wrong. He did Jaws. He did he did Poltergeist. He did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and he was the hottest thing. And also, he was part of Star Wars. He was part of Indiana Jones. 1941 comes out. Bomb. Almost destroyed his career. In fact, the only thing that saved him was E.T., which was as big of a hit as much as 1941 was a bomb. 1941, it was not... It's very uneven. And if you watch it now, it's just very slow. And things that are funny, they think is funny. It's not funny. I think someone's house gets destroyed. It's like, yeah, that's not funny. That's just...
it's been a little while since I watched it, but I always had a sense that it was a bunch of individual scenes that they thought were funny, and then they just try to duct tape them together into a movie.
Yes.
But
that was very common back then. Caddyshack was like that.
Well, there's that one, one of the most notorious cases is there's that one movie that's like, was it Best Defense, I think? It's like a Dudley Moore movie. And they basically... because it was getting such poor test screenings, they went out and threw a bunch of money at Eddie Murphy, filmed a bunch of completely unrated footage for a B plot and threw it into the movie so it would have Eddie Murphy in it, and you could tell that it was just like stapled together. But
Creative Burst for $5 said a good bad movie for me is Digimon the movie. It was 3 movies put together. And I think Jeff Nimoy did the best he could putting them together. I've never seen Digimon the movie, so I cannot say anything about it. I've never seen it. I've never seen Digimon. I've never seen Pokemon. I've never seen any of those movies.
See, my son was into many of those things, so I don't know that I saw that particular one, but I did digest some of that stuff. So
Beastmaster. Yeah, we talked about Beastmaster. It's fantastic. So another very a B. Okay, so there's this thing. There's this what's called the A plot and the B plot, and the A plot's the main plot, and then the secondary plot's called the B plot. You could have a C and so forth. But anyhow, I'll tell you another famous movie that was all B plot that no one realizes is Caddyshack. So Caddyshack, which you ever watch, it seems like kind of a weird movie. I'll tell you why. The original movie was a coming of age movie about all the caddies who like wanted to like get ahead of their in the world and like do something with their lives, and they have that whole main story with the main caddy who's going to college. They cut the movie and it was terrible.
Yeah, that was like that ended up being like the first 20. Most of that was the first 20 minutes of the movie now.
But what they did is they also hired some of the greatest comedians of all time in history, and these guys were just freaking comedy gold, and they were just so funny because they're legends. They literally took every single thing they had of them and made a movie of it. Mm-hmm. they literally just built a movie around all their B material and just added them. That's why it has a very weird pacing, and that's what people remember. It's another
movie that's like a bunch of individual scenes taped together into a movie.
Yeah. Well, everything with like Roger Dangerfield, that was like B plot. Like everything, anything with, and then Bill Murray just made up all of his lines. He didn't even use the script. He just made everything up. Bill Murray in Meatballs. Everyone always forgets Bill Murray was in Meatballs. That is a fascinating movie, Meatballs. It is, that is a very 70s movie. You want to see a 70s movie? That's a 70s movie.
And I recall it like not being, I mean,
not that great.
Yeah, Bill Murray was Bill Murray was funny, but the rest of the movie I don't recall.
It's very serious.
It's a pretty serious comedy. Like for a comedy, it actually
it was kind
of heavy.
It was a Bad News Bears. Remember My Bodyguard type movie.
Yeah,
it was like one of those.
Mm-hmm. Stripes. Yeah, Stripes was...
Well, Stripes is genius. The Stripes was also... Like, when I was a kid growing up, that's what we used to always talk about in the playground was Stripes. Mm-hmm. And, like, we would just, like, sing the songs and everything. And that also has... That has the SCTV cast. If anyone doesn't know what SCTV is, look it up, because you don't know what you're missing. SCTV was Saturday Night Live before Saturday Night Live. And every single person in SCTV is world famous, and you've heard of every single one of them.
It was like a Canadian equivalent of Saturday Night Live, because most of those guys were from Canada. I think one or two of them were American, oh my goodness.
Yeah. You look up SCTV, you can't even believe. And you know where they all met? Godspell. They did it, and you can find it online. You can actually see the production of Godspell with like all of SCTV people in their 20s.
Wow.
It's insane.
And a lot of that became the DNA of the whole like Christopher Guest mockumentary family as well.
Yes.
A lot of the overlap there too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hawk the Slayer, Strange Brew, Strange Brew's all SCTV. That actually was on SCTV. Strange Brew was
the characters were, and that was like much like
Movie's
the Night at the Rocks.
And the soundtrack's great. I used to listen to the soundtrack.
Wasn't Max von Sydow in that too?
Yes.
Wasn't he the bad guy? Like the evil brewery manager of the evil brewery?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. Yeah. People, if you've not seen SCTV. So here's your list, people. You haven't seen Evil Dead. Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 3. Evil Dead 1 is fascinating just because it was made for nothing. Evil Dead 2 is a freaking masterpiece and one of the greatest movies ever made, period. End of story. Evil Dead 3, there's a lot of memes you've probably heard of, and if you didn't know where they came from, now you know. That thing was a meme generator. I don't know if it wasn't the greatest movie, but holy crap, a lot of memes come from that movie.
I love how that's now its own standard for quality, is how many memes came out of it.
Oh, seriously. That thing, that is like the name. That thing just made memes.
I was watching recently some Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm like, oh, there's that meme.
That meme. yeah. That's another one. That's a meme generator too.
Now I understand them all.
There's a lot. That's a great series. That is.
It's
been
good.
On for 15 years.
I like it, but it's got the problem of it's hard to watch like 5 or 6 episodes in a row when all the characters are kind of varying degrees of assholes.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, the Game of Games episode where they play that game. Oh, that game. That's an excellent episode. There's a couple. Charlie Day, Charlie Work. That's a great.
I'm not sure how far I got. I got 2 or 3 seasons in. I'm not sure.
It gets. You see, the first season's very uneven. It really gets going around the 4th or 5th.
Oh yeah, it certainly doesn't take off at all until Danny DeVito joins the cast.
He joins the second season, and then it really starts to take off. It gets much better. Later on.
That show is also my antidote for the whole. Anyone who says, "Oh, they couldn't make that today," have you seen an episode of Always Sunny? I mean, they are making that today. I mean,
they make that. They're very aware of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now
Jim Cotta.
Okay, we're going to go into martial arts movies. Okay, I can talk about that all day. Jim Cotta, Perry Gordon's The Last Dragon.
Shit.
Perry Gordon's The Last Dragon, man. Forget it. End of list. That movie is so 80s. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Show enough. Oh my God, is that movie good? Lead actor's not great, but damn, it's that movie in 80s movies. And the soundtrack is good.
The bad guy controlling the bad martial artist is a music producer. Like, okay, that's...
And Shonuff, the actor, he was in Briscoe County Jr., remember?
Okay.
I forgot his name, but he was the... let's see. Let me look him up. He died, unfortunately. He was really good, Barry Gordon. I think he was in a lot of Star Trek, too. There it is, The Last Dragon. It had Vanity, remember that?
Oh, right, yeah. She was the lead.
T-Max, Vanity, Christopher Murphy. He was the bad guy.
Did the guy go on to do anything? I don't recall him doing much after that. The main character.
No, T-Mac. No,
Timac or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so Jules Carey, he was Shonuff. And he was in, I'm trying to look him up because he was so good as Shonuff. He really, like, as an over-the-top bad guy, he did a lot of TV. He was in Murphy Brown. Oh my God, he was in Earth 2, Tales from the Crypt. Oh, Dinosaurs. Wow, this guy was in everything. Oh, you want to see some really, 227? I used to watch 227.
He looks like he was more of a TV guy than a movie guy.
Yeah, he was in the A-Team. Yeah, he was in everything. He was in ER. Wow. But yeah, he was a sidekick in Bristol County Jr. He was Lord Bowler. Remember? That was who he was. The Warriors come out and play. I love the Warriors. I actually saw they had Joe Bob Briggs did a Warriors showing, and many people from the Warriors came, and I saw it in the Alamo Draft House a couple of years ago, and I got to meet Joe Bob. He actually comes here pretty often, and he does a lot of these. I've seen a couple of those with him. 227. Someone who remembers 227 and Earth 2. You know what? You know who was in Earth 2? You're gonna badmouth Earth 2, but I'll tell you, Clancy. What's his name?
What, Clancy Brown?
Yeah, Clancy Brown. He was in Earth 2. He was one of the main guys in Earth 2.
I love Clancy Brown because he's got such a weird do whatever you want career, but he's managed to make it work for him. He's just the guy you get when you want Clancy Brown in your movie.
Dude.
Oh, and the animated side, because he's also Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob and a bunch of other stuff on the animated side.
When that man dies, he is going to go down in history as like one of the greatest actors of all time. And not in the fact that he was a great actor, but he's in, I'm just going to give the list here. He's in Shawshank Redemption. He's in Starship Troopers. He was in SpongeBob.
He was the Kurgan in Highlander.
He's the Kurgan in Highlander, which is one of the greatest bad guys in history. We're talking about dedication to a role. Holy crap, was he dedicated to that role. He was in Nightmare of Elm Street, of all things. He was in Dexter, New Blood. He was actually really good in that, by the way, if you didn't see that. I was looking up. He was in The Mandalorian. and he was really good in The Mandalorian.
Well, somebody out there coined just refers to those as like that guy actors.
Oh yeah, he's that
everything
guy.
You know them, and Clancy Brown is like probably one of the kings of that guy actors at this point.
Yeah, but he dedicates, and when he does a role, it doesn't matter what he's doing.
Oh yeah,
he's that role.
He's 110%. Yeah,
yeah, and you got to give people credit because he also knows what he's doing is crazy, insane stuff, and he does not care.
Yeah, I mean,
and you know who else does stuff like that is and people like him help the genre. This sounds like a weird thing, but you have people like him, and then you have people like Keanu Reeves. You take him or love him, but Keanu Reeves, he does movies he likes to do, which happens to be things like The Matrix or John Wick. And you know what? If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't get movies like that because he dedicates himself.
I mean, he went through a phase where he tried to do the serious actor route, you know, like Dangerous Liaisons, Dracula. But, you know, at the same time, he's not ashamed that his bread and butter is like, fuck it, I'm going to do 47 Ronin now. You know, because that's what I want to do, and that's what the people want to see.
He did Johnny Mnemonic. And you know what? Yeah. God bless him, because he's so dedicated to doing these movies that he will get bombs out there. But if it wasn't for Johnny Mnemonic, you would never have The Matrix, because he was willing to try and do that type of movie, and he's out there. And there's a lot of actors like that they will just do those types of movies. They, you know, there's a lot. You'll see, you know, like the genre type actors, and they do them because they enjoy them. They actually like them.
Somebody made a Jeff Speakman reference. Do you remember him that like won martial arts or The Perfect Weapon?
Yeah, The Perfect Weapon. I think I reviewed that for the Tartan.
And I think the girlfriend in The Perfect Weapon was, or like the I don't know if they call her a girlfriend because they never actually got together, but the implied girlfriend of The Perfect Weapon was Mariska Hargitay, who went on to be on the Law and Order shows. So,
oh yeah, he was in Constantine. That's another example. Like, he's willing to take these risks, and you need actors like that who are willing to really try it, because when they hit, oh boy, did they hit.
Yeah, because you got plenty of people who like play it safe and only do what their agent tells them to do or whatever. But you know, you got to respect actors, even if you don't always agree with their choices. You got to respect ones who are willing to just do whatever they want to do, and especially if it's what you like and they're doing what you want them to do.
Yeah, I guarantee he likes doing it. I mean, this isn't an accident. He enjoys doing that. We had Reno Williams. I'll tell you what's fascinating. Reno Williams, not a great movie, but what's interesting about Reno Williams is that a lot of people forget that there was a time in the 80s when they were renovating the Statue of Liberty. They had scaffolding up and down the entire Statue of Liberty. They do a fight scene in Reno Williams on the scaffolding. So it's one of the only times in history you can actually see the scaffolding on the Statue of Liberty, because no one remembers that.
Well, I think also John Statz was the one who pointed out it's actually a whole series of books.
Huge series.
There's like 30 or 40 Reno Williams books.
Oh, I think it's more I think it's like hundreds.
Oh, okay. Maybe more than that.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's hundreds of books. I'm going to look it up. The Reno, he's read, I think, all of them too. Which is why it was made into Reno Williams. Let's see.
Yeah, Ron Perlman. There's another one who does between voice and voice and live action, and just choosing whatever projects he wants. That's another good example. He seems like he's in a lot of things, and B, they tend to be a lot of cool things.
Well, the funny thing is, all the people who did the Marvel movies, like, you want to talk about someone like what's her name? Black Widow.
What, Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett. You know what?
Smart
move, man. Like, she saw the writing on the wall before anyone else. She's an actress in her 20s and decides to sign up for a Marvel movie, and you have to sign up for like 9 of those. I mean, smart move, like the people who did that, they were way ahead of the time. And you know who also does this? I was just talking to my kids about this. We were watching Top Gun. Tom Cruise.
But how much of that was
I was
going to say, at least in the Marvel case, how much of that was
Oh, the Destroyer
The
series,
actors versus how much that was Disney tying up talent cheap, because they, other than maybe Robert Downey Jr., they tended to go with more unknown actors for the hero roles.
Completely
and then
true.
if they wanted a name, they'd put a name in a supporting role, like Anthony Hopkins as Odin or Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
Well, what's
so
his name as Loki? He was a nobody, and then he was.
Well, Chris Evans wasn't particularly anybody. I mean, yeah, okay, he got Johnny Storm in the first versions of the Fantastic Four, but he wasn't a big name.
No.
Even Robert Downey was kind of
Downey. They had to fight
in a little bit of a mini ditch. He'd done Ally McBeal, but he wasn't really A-list.
No, he wasn't even close. They had to fight. Jon Favreau had to fight to get him on the he would not do it unless he was cast, and there's a whole thing about that.
Jeremy Renner, I mean, he was, I don't know if Hurt Locker had come out by that point, but he was probably still fairly cheap, so they went with fairly unknown talent, and they're even still doing that a little bit. I mean, a little less so. I mean, now that it's a bit more of a machine, now they can get bigger budgets and pay their actors more, but I mean.
So, by the way, the names of the series, it's called The Destroyer, the Reno Williams series. It's 101 books.
Wow.
Has anyone read all 101 books of The Destroyer? If you have even read one of them, raise your hand. I want to see who's read. They're supposed to be excellent books. I mean, John Stats, I think, has read almost all of them. So he reads a lot of books.
Though John admitted there was some time and place, like we'll say politically incorrect language in some of them as well.
Dude, there's things. I'm even watching things like, you know what I was watching? I was watching How I Met Your Mother not that long ago. Completely unwatchable. And that thing was a huge hit. It is so politically, it's amazing how fast these things go from, oh my God, that's so funny, to I can't even watch this anymore.
Well, here's a good example. I was recently watching Hill Street Blues.
Oh God.
I mean, critical darling in the 80s.
Yeah.
Like changed the whole cop show genre.
Yeah.
And now I watched an episode. There was an entire plot about how the one undercover detective JD was going to take a high school girl on a stakeout to have sex with her. And the whole thing was played for laughs. And it's like, what the fuck? I mean, what is this? I mean, the SWAT team commander was basically coded as a Nazi. It's like the roll call sergeant, Esther House, also had a girlfriend who was in high school. Like, I mean, Renko, the little Southern guy who was with Bobby Hill, a lot of his stuff came across as just like racist and an asshole. And I mean, it was supposed to be Southern and folksy and endearing, and it just kind of came across as racist asshole.
Man,
it's like this show was getting Emmys. Like, how did that happen?
Watch Cheers. There's a lot of that in Cheers. There's not a lot of it in Seinfeld, but Cheers has a lot of that. I'll tell you a show you can't watch at all. Remember, there's a thing called The Cosby Show. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, can't even watch it.
I put like the off-camera shenanigans in a different bucket, but at the same time,
everyone knew.
Yeah,
everyone knew.
It seemed to be one of those, once people started talking about it. Again, this is not the sort of stuff I want to get too far.
No. Let's not talk about that. But
yeah,
but I'll tell you, they knew so much that there's jokes in 30 Rock that refer to things that happened on the Cosby
Family
Show.
Guy too also had a joke about that. Yeah,
there's a lot of that. And my brother in Hollywood, he knows all that crap. This stuff is not a secret. That's the thing. It's like, it's not a secret in Hollywood. It's a secret to everyone else, but everyone just knows it. And that's just the price of doing business. And now that's all disappearing, by the way. Not all, but it's pretty much disappearing. Hey, but we are talking the night of the Oscars, so we are a little on topic if you think about it, because the Oscars are tonight, right? So, the Destroyer books. I didn't read any of those. So back to the final. Now it's 2+ hours and my dogs are barking. They want to get fed. So, are you going to go see the D&D movie after thinking about how great it is to have a fun movie that we can all talk to? And can the D&D movie even turn into any of these movies? So we just spent half an hour talking about all these movies we love, that we can quote, that we've seen 500 times, that we enjoy. That's been part of our DNA. Does any movie, even in the last 10 years, I'll even say the Marvel movies don't. Like, the Marvel movies are the closest thing we have to this, and, I can't really even quote anything really on the Marvel movies, a couple of them. Like, I can quote, like, okay, I can do this all day. All right, I can quote that. I'm trying to think what else. We have a Hulk. I mean, there's a couple of things you can quote from the Marvel movies. But not like I could probably go and quote, like, the Conan movies. I can quote the whole freaking script.
I mean, I think the true answer is time will tell. I mean, if you think about even the Marvel movies, first Iron Man, did you have a sense this was going to build into a 20-some movie?
Well, I knew they wanted to.
Spanning the cosmos entity? No, but I mean, I if it's done right, it could. I mean, there's no reason it couldn't if you can make, because we're all on this chat or this video because we know that role-playing games can be a fertile ground for entertainment. So if the right people do the right things, sure, I believe it could. But that said, my expectations for this movie are fairly modest. But if it launches 2 or 3 movies down the road and, some of these characters become popular and they bring in some new characters for sequels, maybe maybe 5 years later, we're looking at the beginning of the D&D EU or whatever, extended universe.
Oh, that's what they're trying. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's guaranteed.
And I'd be cool if it works. Okay. And then we'll get a Paizo universe as well, maybe.
That would be great. I hope so.
And which one will Zack Snyder work for? I don't know.
I think he's out. But we have a few quick ones. Masters of the Universe. I saw that in the theater.
I'm tipping my cap to the reference to Top Secret.
Top Secret I saw in the theater too. I saw that right after.
Airplane got a lot more love, but Top Secret,
Top Secret's fantastic, and I saw that right as I saw Cannonball Run. By the way, I think I saw Cannonball Run 2 and Top Secret in Atlantic City with my dad. By the way, Top Secret. By the way, that is a very, very funny movie.
I don't know why, but the scene that always cracks me up, it's just such a simple gag, but where the phone's ringing in the foreground.
Oh, yeah, the foreground.
The guy walks up to answer it. It's a huge phone. And I'm such a dummy, but I love that moment.
And you know who that commandant, that's the guy who played Jean-Luc Picard's brother in Best of All Worlds.
Yeah.
Not the third one, the
René
third part.
Picard or whatever. Yeah. Right on.
It's the same actor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was and Young Sherlock Holmes. I saw that around the same time too. See, that's the thing. I could not only tell you all these movies, I could tell you where I saw them, when I saw them, who I saw them with. It's like that's how much movies used to mean to me. And now it's like I saw Avatar 2. I saw it with my daughter. I was very happy. I loved it. I thought Avatar 2 was great. I loved Avatar 2. It is what it is.
My reaction was much the same as the first one. Is the eye candy of it and the technique of it.
And
fantastic, but the story,
it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, it exists.
But they go all in, and you got to give him credit. Like, and he does little things. Like I can't without ruining the movie, but he does all these callbacks, and those space whales are really good.
But like the first 10 minutes of going underwater and seeing all the underwater, that's like a freaking National Geographic movie.
It's amazing,
and it's all computers in ideas in people's heads, and it's like that's amazing in a way. I mean, is it a great movie? Is it a movie we're gonna be talking about 50 years from now? Maybe not, but it was certainly a beautiful movie.
It was beautiful. It was fun. It was enjoyable. I loved it. I just had fun, and it made me want to see it in the theater. That's the thing.
Yeah, there is stuff that you just know that you got to see on a big screen. I mean,
like Cocaine Bear.
The Cocaine Bear. There you go.
But you did. You saw. You were one. You were. Yes. Was there anyone in the theater when you saw it?
Yeah, actually, I went on a Sunday morning. Among other things, I was thinking to myself, yes, I'm going to hell because I'm going when other people are at church. But I went at like 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and the movie theater was about a third to a half full.
Wow.
I was like, damn, Cocaine Bear's getting the love.
I know. But people are just, that's how many people just decided to cut church.
I guess. I don't know, man. It was pretty entertaining.
Well, it says here, movies today are mostly forgettable. And, oh, wow, Tommy. Wow. I saw Tommy. I did not see that in the theater. That's something I saw on The Who, by the way, is my favorite band of all time. So you don't want to get me started on Tommy. I can go on and on about that. But yeah, I did not see that in the theater. But damn, that is a psychedelic movie. That's like hardcore 70s, by the way. So wait, I lost my train of thought. Tommy blew me off my train of thought. Oh, I was saying
movies being forgettable.
Yeah, they're forgettable. They're just, you know what, a large part of it is because they're designed for a worldwide audience. They don't play, they play it very safe. And like a good example, I'll give you a good example. It's like, the bad guys in all these movies, if you noticed, are always generic. Like a good example, I think about that all the time. Like they're always killing, like in the Avengers. The Avengers is the perfect example. Who are they killing? Nameless space aliens that look like nothing. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's like, there's no character to them. There's nothing you could latch on to. There's no hate. There's let me just finish this. I was going to say, there's no hate. There's nothing to make you feel good for the PCs and the characters, but you don't have nothing against the bad guys. Cameron,
they're not memorable enough. Yeah.
Okay. Avatar 2. How much did you hate those bad guys? Come on, you hated them. I hated them. Everyone hated them. My daughter, she's like, yeah, when they get their own, you're happy. It's like, good. And I'm like, yeah, that's the secret of a good movie. You can't use nameless bad guys. You can't have these nothing bad guys. Someone said are Nazis. Yeah. Indiana Jones or any of those movies, Belloc. I mean, who the bad guys are.
You had Belloc, you still had the bald guy.
Yeah, you knew when these guys got killed. Good. Like good. They died horrible deaths. Good. It's like you were happy because you hated them, and that's emotion. And you know what sparks strong opinions is emotion. And if you don't have emotion,
CGI monster is the other one. It's like, okay, it's spectacle, but is it really generating anything in you? It's just But
and then you can have a Spider-Man. I mean, Green Goblin. How freaking good was what's his name? Is Green Goblin?
Willem Dafoe.
William Dafoe. I mean, he practically was the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like you need to have these really good bad guys, and I don't know who, but I have a feeling I'm looking at all these good reviews. If they do this in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, if they have really good bad guys, they have really good characters, they have that perfect balance, that Guardians of the Galaxy-ish balance of serious yet funny, yet they like each other, yet they hate each other, and they're kind of like a family. By the way, that's a secret sauce. All successful television shows are based on a family. That's actually true. All, and even if they don't have a family, it's a family structure. So if they build a family structure, which they're going to probably sounds like they did, they have a memorable bad guy, they have all that in. I have a feeling this movie is going to be fantastic, and I bet you there's going to be 2 sequels coming out pretty damn soon.
Probably.
And they're going to start this whole universe, and then we start the next phase of, do we hate D&D, and what do we do now that we love the movie? So,
well, the other thing about movies being generally forgettable, I think it's Stellan Skarsgård was doing an interview, and he kind of made this point that the movie industry is kind of stratified into big budget blockbusters and throw a couple $1 million at an indie movie, and there's not much in between anymore.
Oh yeah.
And that movie that maybe would have taken 15 million to make or 20 million to make just isn't getting made like it used to be.
Nope.
Because they either want known properties or they want cheap stuff. I mean,
as soon as I went on to it, now we have Hans Gruber, Bond villains,
Rutger Hauer is the Hitcher. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean Rutger Hauer and the Hitcher. Oh God, Hitcher. Okay, that's on your list, buddy. Not the remake. The original Hitcher.
The original 80s Hitcher.
Holy crap. That movie will keep you. You will not go to sleep after watching that movie. Okay? I promise you. You're going to be like, oh, how scary can a movie be? Watch The Hitcher. You'll be like, holy shit, this movie is scary.
More suspense scary. It just keeps you tense the entire time.
He does not care. He kills people like it's like, because it's those people who are killers and don't care. and there's no motivation. I was reading this thing. They said, why do people afraid of clowns? Okay. And they said the reason that people are afraid of clowns is because you can't see the motivation. You can't see their true intentions. They can be smiling, but actually really frowning or like evil, you know? And so it was there's this mental thing about where if you can't read emotions based on what's on their face, it changes everything.
I can believe that. Yeah.
That's why you have people like in The Hitcher that you just can't comprehend that someone could be that freaking psychotic and evil and doesn't seem to literally care.
Yeah.
And they are. They are that evil in that movie. That movie's insane. The Hitcher, by the way. But yeah, back to what we were saying. It's like, you know what? It might. Yeah, I have a feeling this movie's going to do very well. It looks like it's getting fantastic reviews. They released it 3 weeks ahead of time. No one does that unless they know they got a hit on their hands. They're doing a pre-screenings this weekend on the 19th. You can see it at 2 p.m. pretty much anywhere as long as you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. And then you have people like us who are going to start talking about this thing forever. Oh, man, this is... Well, I'm just going to go and enjoy it. I'll try to distance myself. And look, I'm not buying any more OGL books. So, any D&D books. So I used to. I got a whole bunch right here. And I'm not buying any more. I'm not buying any more. I'm not giving them any other money. But a movie's kind of a complex subject because it means a lot of things to a lot of people. It also helps the entire industry. It'll help like a Pathfinder or other movies get made. So, and you know what? It's getting really, 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 really good reviews.
Yeah,
so.
I think like if you still got animosity, I think, you know, everyone got to do what's right for them. But I feel like personally, I can compartmentalize it and be like, okay, 2 hours of my life and $10, they can have that. I mean, if it's turning out to be a good movie, and you know, okay, if it comes time to buy another set of D&D books, I'll think twice. I'm going to definitely think twice about that. But this is, you know, it's a separate field. It's almost its own bucket, and you know, I kind of willing to evaluate it on its own merits as a movie and as a piece of entertainment. And
yeah, I mean, it's like an 84 on Rotten Tomatoes. It has it keeps changing on Metacritic. It's at 76. Yesterday it was in the 80s.
I'll admit, I'm always also, and somebody made this point in the chat, and we were well into the movie, the movie discussion, so I didn't get a chance to get back to it. I'm always a little skeptical of reviews, just because it is the people who, you know, they got early access. They're getting access to the stars to do interviews. This was
South by Southwest. That's where all these people saw it.
Okay, that's a little more, but yeah, it does feel like it's
anyone
people
could have gone.
Okay,
anyone.
Well, that's a little different, but still, just feel a lot of those times when you see a bunch of positive reviews and it's all people who got early access to the cast, they could ask questions.
Well,
and it's like, of course you're going to say it's a good movie. I mean, so you get invited next time. Like,
yeah, but next week you can see it yourself. We can see it next Sunday, and we can all review it.
Again, I'm not going to say. I'm not saying they're all lying. I just I tend to kind of keep a little bit of caution until I start seeing user review, you know, or viewer reviews instead of media reviews. That's my personal view. Also, I tend to also I kind of look for broad trends more than specifics. I mean, or like, it's like, because a lot of this stuff's so individual about what you might like or dislike that, you know, trying to glean too much from any one review, it's like, okay, maybe that stuff agrees with you, maybe it doesn't. So, I mean, you know, it's a good sign. It's certainly better than if it has 30% on Metacritic at this point. So, I mean, but I always keep one little bit of like retain a little skepticism just in case. So, but hey, like then again, the question, the raised or the speak with dead scene, that pretty much that punched my ticket right there, because I thought that scene was just
so. If you saw that, that's the thing. It's like if you saw that scene on like College Humor or like any of those sites, you would have been like, oh my God, this is so funny. And you would have shared that with everyone.
I think I did post that to our group.
Yeah, but now you see that like on a movie, and you're like, wow, they put that into a $100 million budget movie, and damn, it's funny, and it's so accurate.
I'll get the shovel.
it's like I only have 3 questions, right? Yes. Really? Yes. 3 questions? Yes. I'll get the shovel. It's like,
it keels over.
But yeah, that's like Q. That was also my favorite scene in the Q episode with Picard. It's like, is it a Romulan plot? Is it a whatever? It's like, no and no. It goes, that was 1 question. That was 2 questions. I was like, oh, dude, I love shenanigans like that.
Yeah,
that's classic. Because all that crap, man, it's like I cast fireball at the dark. No, I cast magic missile at the darkness. And I'm like, oh,
that feels like one of those things they might sneak in there, like magic casting at the darkness or something.
You know who wrote that scene? That whole little skit.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Harmon.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. Interesting.
It all comes back to like. That's the thing. It's like
it's the circle of life.
It is. Actually, let me look up one last thing and then we'll go. I just want to see who wrote this movie. Who did the D&D movie? I'm just curious because it doesn't seem like there's anyone who's really in it that I know. I mean, besides the act. Let's see. The director, John Francis Daly. Actually, I've heard of him.
Hugh Grant.
Oh, he did the Vacation movie, the reboot.
Oh, the one with Ed Helms?
It's not bad, that movie. He did Spider-Man Homecoming. He wrote that.
Okay.
He wrote that. Let me see. What did he do? He was an actor. Oh, no, he was an actor. Wait, he's the actor? Wait, John Francis Daly. He's a writer, actor, and producer. Oh, my God. He's a triple threat.
I will say there's like, oh, my goodness. There are like 5 or 6 people with varying writing credits because there's like a story by screenplay writer, earlier screenplay by screenplay by. So there are like I'm worried that there's like that many people associated with the script, but still.
Well, Jonathan Goldstein, he's pretty good. He did Spider-Man Homecoming. He did Horrible Bosses. He did Game Night, which by the way, Game Night's pretty good. He did Vacation. Oh, they're a team. That's it. The
Michael Giglio or whatever.
Yeah, they're like a team. Wow, he actually does that a lot. He did Vacation. He did Game Night. He did In the Dark, and he did the D&D movie. That's it. And he directed this. But I hate to say it, Vacation got a bad rap just because the first one's so good. I like the second movie. And Game Night is good. And you want to talk about a movie that's like a D&D movie? Game Night is a D&D movie. That's a modern D&D movie.
I'm also a little concerned that the runtime. Well, no, I guess never mind. I was about to say. I was doing my math wrong. Never mind. Ignore what I said. I was about to say. It was
remember,
too short,
I said always trust the movie
hours.
when the writers and directors are when the writer is the director and vice versa. Well, guess who wrote this? The directors wrote it. So
okay. But yeah, I was thinking that it was shorter than it was, and I was about to be worried about the length of it. But it's actually 2 hours plus, so it should be. That's
you know what? Good. You don't want a movie to be too short.
No, if it's like 90 minutes or 100 minutes, you start getting worried that it's a piece of crap. Yeah.
No. This looks like. Yeah, no. The screenplay is written by the same people who directed it, and. Yeah,
Gathering Dust wants a 10-foot pole reference. Yes, we need the 10-foot pole to make an appearance. 50 feet of rope. How much rope do you have? 50 feet.
They might do that. Yeah. There's going to be, man. If I'll tell you, if they're smart and they get all the memes in there, and then it becomes like a meme engine, then. Guess we're going to be seeing D&D movies every 2 years for the rest of the time, which, you know what, I'm fine with that. Good. Okay. I can still hate Hasbro and hate what they're doing and still love their movies, you know? I know maybe that's hypocritical
of
me, but
yeah.
I don't care. Now I got to look up the thing with the rope. You're making me look that up. It was so funny. People are like, oh, that's so stupid. And remember, it's like there's so many people who thought the movie looked terrible. And Chris and Seth and all of our friends, you know what they all said? They said good. They all liked it. They liked everything about it because they said, remember when we were kids and if we got one thing, we got Krull, we loved it. Not because it was a good movie, because that's all we had. We had one movie, and that's it. That's all you get.
You're spoiled children with your CGIs.
Yeah, seriously.
We got Krull, and we got Beastmaster.
We got Krull. We got Beastmaster. We got
Lady Hawk, where nothing happened for 20 minutes.
I mean, seriously, look at all those movies. I mean, the 80s was fantastic. We got great movies, but fantasy was considered the bottom of the barrel even back then. And it was considered total crap.
Well,
and it literally took Lord of the Rings.
Like sci-fi got out of the ghetto when Star Wars came out. Sci-fi got it. They let sci-fi out of the.
Yes. Oh, when Star Wars came out.
Fantasy stayed down.
They stayed down.
Yeah. They didn't have fantasy for a while.
Until Harry Potter and then Lord of the Rings and then Stranger Things and Critical Role and also Game of Thrones. Like, those are the 5. That's the 5 that just, now it's broken out and now it is everywhere.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for that, we got Dragon Slayer, which, by the way, is a pretty good movie. Great special effects. I mean, holy crap.
For the time, yeah.
Oh, but even now, and a good soundtrack. And there's a scene in that movie.
Dog barking behind me here.
I know my dogs are barking too. They want them to be fed. And I'll tell you, there's a scene in that movie that turned every boy into a man. You know what scene I'm talking about? There's a scene where what's her name? It's the girl who's pretending she's a boy.
Yeah.
And then he jumps swimming. They go swimming naked, and you see a little bit. Oh my God,
she's naked.
And you're like, oh. And then meanwhile, this was a PG movie, and you're like a kid.
You were like a 12-year-old boy or whatever. That was like,
you're a 12-year-old boy, and they show a naked girl, and she was totally naked, and they show her, and you're like, oh, and then you realize, hey,
I appreciate what you've done here, Disney.
I know.
Wasn't that Disney?
I think it was, and back then it was like, haha, that's when you turned it. That's when if you were straight back then, that's when you turned into
my one Oscar prediction is I hope Everything Everywhere All at Once wins a whole bunch of awards. That's all I'm gonna say. Is I really
the thing
like
about that movie. It's so weird. I saw that in the theater and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I've seen it several times since. It's one of those movies. The more you watch it, the more I appreciate it, and the more I definitely enjoy it.
I loved it, and I immediately took my son back to see it the next day because I thought he would love it too.
John Stats hated it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he hated that movie. It's incredibly uneven, but I like the unevenness.
I mean, I feel
the pacing is weird.
I feel like it's not the sort of movie Hollywood likes, so I don't know if it's going to win Best Picture. And also Kate Blanchett, is Kate Blanchett, and they always vote for her for Best Actress. But I don't know. I just really like that movie, and I hope it wins a bunch of stuff. So
I like it. I like the movie. I don't love the ending, unfortunately. It just ends. It's just like, okay, it's over. And I'm like, really? I was all ready for more to happen, and it just kind of ends. It is a very good movie, though. It's very... I give it. They went weird and weird.
Well, it's a superhero movie on peyote. It's like because
it is. It's a superhero movie on peyote, and they have one of the greatest superhero actresses in the history of ever in it. I mean, if there's anyone who can play that role,
Michelle Yeoh. Yeah,
Michelle Yeoh is like. If you don't know Michelle Yeoh, like look up her early Hong Kong wire fu stuff from the 80s and 90s. I mean, holy crap. Like
she was like she did a couple Jackie Chan movies back in the day. Like one of the I think Police Story or whatever. Yes.
She is she was in she was in what was it? It was the one in the 2000. I forgot what she was in. When they were like flying through the trees, I forget that one.
Oh, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, she was in Crouching Tiger. That was like her first American. Well, actually, she was a Bond girl. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was one of the
terrible movies.
That movie was kind of tiresome because it was kind of a remake of the space one. Because it was like instead of a spaceship that was like trying to set off World War III, it was a big boat that was trying to set off World War III.
Yeah. But, Crouching Tiger. Everyone's like, yeah. So. But she's so good. Yeah, watch Police Story. So you came here to watch a D&D movie. Well, we gave you homework to watch 50 other movies.
Sorry about that. And you got my Sean Connery accent. So
Yes, you got the Sean Connery.
You got my silliness. I paid my dues.
Yes.
So, but
yes. Steven is like seeing is on a YT marathon again. What's YT?
YouTube.
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
Yeah,
well, I'll tell you
like 2.5 hours now.
Well, I'll tell you why. So on Wednesday, RPG Superstar starts, and for those of you who don't know, you can design monsters, and then they're professionally. We got a freaking all-star judging pool this year, and so that starts on Wednesday, where you can submit monsters, and if you win, you get published. And then on Thursday, I am on DM Lair for 3 hours. So DM Lair, I know, has like over like 110,000 subscribers. So I'm going to be on there for a while, and we're going to talk about RPG Superstar. We'll talk about the OGL. We'll talk about everything. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'm on their channel, and then from there on, we're going to probably be on a million channels just talking about RPG Superstar and talking about building monsters for Pathfinder and 5e, but mostly Pathfinder. So I'm getting ready because I knew this week I was not going to be able to. This Wednesdays, I don't know what our show's going to be about, but be partially about building monsters and RPG Superstar and stuff like that. So, but I just want to talk about this because
I'll come on and sing some show tunes.
Yeah, well, because the reviews came out last night. They dropped last night, and I was like, oh my god! And then I woke up this morning and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, they're all fantastic, and they're coming up in my feeds. I'm like, one right after another after another. I'm like, I got to talk about this. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's gotten this many good reviews. I couldn't believe it. I was like, because it's 3 weeks. Because I said in last week's episode, I said, you'll be able to tell if it's a good movie depending on how early they release it. And if they release it 2 weeks early or 3 weeks, then that's very rare.
They've got a good feeling.
They only do that with guaranteed hits. And they only do it. They just, no one does it. Because why would you release a bad movie 2 weeks ahead of time? There's no reason. They release this 3 weeks ahead of time, and you could see it next weekend, 2 weeks before it comes out. They only do that with surefire hit, fantastic movies. They just don't do that. So this movie, I believe, is going to be an absolutely fantastic movie, and I guess we're all going to have to go see it because you're going to feel left out if you don't. I know like 60% of people said you're not going to see it. I'll be curious to see when I do run that in a few more weeks how many people actually saw it. I want to see if those numbers match up. If they match up, then so be it. But I have a feeling you're not going to match up. So, all right. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah,
where can people find you?
Well, at least in terms of, I don't do that much of that anymore.
Oh, really?
So basically, just on the shows, on the live plays. I'm there.
Agents of Edgewatch.
Yep.
And
usually Monday nights.
Oh, I got to cancel tomorrow.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, Adam is in a concert in Lincoln Center.
Okay, so right on. Hey, that's a good thing to get cancel for. So.
Yeah, he does it every year. It's like his 5th time there. But yeah, so I got to cancel for tomorrow. But
well, thanks for having me on those. It's kind of fun experience. It's fun. So
I told you that's why I do it so much.
It did kind of just turn into us bullshitting about movies, but hey, that's all right too.
We bullshitted about movies. We had almost 2,000 viewers, like 2,000 people plus, and then more people watch us after. And they'll all say, "I remember when I saw those movies, and they were great." And when
you start the side channel for the movie reviews, I'll be your co-host or whatever.
Well, we all got to see it. I think I got to tell everyone we're going to all see it, and then we're going to come back and review it next week.
All right. If you do a review after it's been seen, I'll book for that one as well.
So. I'm going to go. Well, okay, I'm definitely going to go see it. So it's
now I'm forcing your hand. If you do a reaction show after seeing it, then
I'm definitely doing it. I'm going to see it on. Let me see if Chris and Seth. I doubt any of them want to come up here, and maybe we can meet up in the city. Or you can come to New York and see it in Alamo Drafthouse with me. It's really good. I could almost say we could almost find something in the middle, but that's even 4 hours. That's even a 4-hour drive.
Like Harrisburg or something.
Yeah, like that's a hell of a drive just to see a D&D movie. I don't think I'm that crazy. And then maybe we could see it next Friday or next Friday. With the gang. If it's good, I'll see it again.
Oh yeah. So.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. And,
thanks for stopping by. And
Yes.
Listen to us old folks ramble.
Yeah, well, I think everyone here is old.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Listen to us young folks.
And if you're young, you just got a whole bunch of movies to watch that if you have not seen any of those movies, they're all worth a watch. Especially Caveman.
I can't co-sign the Caveman endorsement, but most of that stuff was pretty
Just
good.
remember, Zug Zug. Okay.
Oh boy.
That's right. All right. See you guys.
Well.